Are you searching for a deeper understanding of your faith?
Inspiring Philosophy is your go-to resource for exploring the rich tapestry of Christian thought.
From biblical archaeology to philosophy of mind, we dive into the topics that matter.
Our content bridges faith and understanding, offering insights into God's existence and the reliability of the New Testament.
Join a community where faith meets reason and discover the answers you've been seeking.
Inspiring Philosophy, where faith meets understanding.
I'm sorry, Master, but I must go all out. Just this once. I don't like you, Muhammad. Dawa boys, you've left me no choice. Bible's been corrupted, that should go the line. But you claim the same book, prophesize your sign, twisting every scripture, faking all the quotes, hiding all the facts, trying to keep your boat afloat. Without lies, Islam dies. Perfect preservation, yeah, that myth got wrecked. Worldly Quran don't even match the text. Used to flex science, now you back in the way. Cause camel embryo facts don't hit the same today. Got the Islamic dilemma, you can't solve that. Every answer you give makes the problem snap back. Say the Bible's corrupt, but your own book cries. Bibles and laws, words, they can't be revised. If Allah's words can't change, then your claims are fraud. You just argued yourself against the word of your God. Injil's secret book, that's your mystery prize. But the Quran said Christians should judge by it. Lies, then your crew pulled muted like it's just a game. Ruined the life and trashed a man's name. All that dawah talk, but when truth appears, you vanish from the chat like it hurt your ears. Without lies, Islam dies. Can't hide truth, can't spin those lies. Without lies, Islam dies. Dawah cries when the facts arise. Without lies, Islam dies. Can't hide truth, can't spin those lies. Without lies, Islam dies. Dawah cries when the facts arise. We follow Jesus better, sure in your dream. While cutting out his claims like you're cropping the meat. Crown off his head, toss his cross in the bin. They smile for the camera like you're still his kin. Jesus was a Muslim, cute little twist. Redefine the word so the facts don't exist. If labels could change what the records prove, if Pharaoh was a Yahweh fan, and Judas stayed true. Muhammad in the Song of Solomon, boy, you made your prophet a fruit. Snuggled up with Solomon and came the man of Ozu. Without lies, Islam dies. Can't hide truth, can't spin those lies. Without lies, Islam dies. Dawah cries when the facts arise. You preach perfect text, but the proof ain't there. Half wash, even your readers don't care. Call the Bible corrupt, but still quote it loud. Trying to find Muhammad just to please your crowd. Song of Solomon, yeah, that's a fleshy fleck. You just wrote your prophet in the Solomon's bed. Then the man of Al-Zu came riding through all night long, and you say that's true. Jesus was a Muslim, the wordplay is dead. By that logic, Pharaoh bowed his head. You twist, you spin, but you can't disguise that every dawah claim was built on lies. Without lies, without lies, without lies, without
What's going on, guys? We had a
up?
special last-second guest, Eric Manning, the McPologetics master debater.
Stop. Why do you got to start that way, bro?
Because Mike's not here, and there's only one rule when Mike's not here.
Be gay.
There are no rules.
We upgrade. That's the rule.
That's right.
So today I got the original plan was I was gonna have my boy here, Coley, with me. Eric was in the chat. He said, "Yo, let's I can jump in if you want me to," and I'm not gonna say no to my homie Eric. So yeah, we're gonna do a call-in stream today. If you are not a Christian, whether you're a Muslim, anything, okay. If you're not a Christian, link is already pinned for you guys to come talk to us. Let's do it. Yeah. So nobody's in the queue right now. Coley, your thing is tagged already. Eric, I'll put yours in afterwards.
That's fine. No biggie.
But yeah, man. So, well, we already got somebody now. Guys, hit like, share the live, share this around. I'm a dingus, and I don't know how Mike does it on TikTok. So we're just going to try this for now. I'll add it to TikTok later if we really need to. I'll figure it out on the way. All right. Shay, can you hear us? Hello.
It's pronounced shy. Can you hear me?
Shy. So I'm so sorry. Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Oh, good. Thank you for letting me join.
Yeah. So, are you? You're not a Christian, I'm assuming.
No, I'm Jewish.
Jewish. Okay, great, awesome. Well, why are you not a Christian?
The main reason is, I guess, it's more correlated to the historical aspect, because throughout history, people tried forcibly convert us.
I gotcha. Do you want to tell me more? Help me understand a little bit more.
Well, not only through living under Islam, my family never really left the current state of Israel, like the whole geographic area. So we were prosecuted quite a lot. And also my family told me, even like during the Crusades, people try to convert Jews forcibly. And also through ancient times, like even the Greeks tried to force us to bow down to statues and stuff like this.
Okay. If at least on my end, you're cutting in and out a little bit. Can you guys hear her okay? Or
There might be a delay.
I can hear.
you think it's a delay?
I can hear for whatever it's worth. There might be a little bit of a delay, but seems okay to me.
Okay.
So you said that people were like trying to convert your people forcibly. And as a Christian, I would just say that's wrong. I think we all could agree that Christianity is not supposed to spread that way. That's not the way Jesus taught us to spread the gospel. We're not Muslims. I'm not saying that this didn't happen. That's not good, but it's not. I don't want to do the whole no true Scotsman kind of thing, but I don't see anywhere in the New Testament where forcibly converting somebody by the sword is something that's commanded, whereas in Islam, you absolutely see that. So I'm sorry that there are people who claim to be Christians who do terrible things. I can just say that.
Yeah. And Shy, I'm sorry. I'm gonna probably keep messing things up there. So I apologize. Just anytime I do mess that up. So is your position really just kind of that you have more of a you're not saying that you don't think Christianity is false, are you? Is it more just kind of you think it's hard to even consider becoming a Christian?
No, it doesn't come from their point of view. I do believe in the core teachings of Jesus, especially during those times when it comes to the anti-corruption of the religion. So I do believe in the general message.
Eric, I'm having tech issues with the TikTok thing. Do you mind just going at it? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sure. So you don't have a problem with the teachings of Jesus?
No, it's not the problem.
Okay. So Jesus, when he claims to be God in various ways, do you like when he says, before Abraham was, I am, or when he says, I and the Father are one, you don't have any problem with that teaching? Like you're totally on board with that?
Not 100%. I think this is the main where we differ, I
Okay.
would say.
So who is in your view, who is Jesus?
I would say a very prominent figure, because I am looking at the historical perspective of it, living under Roman occupation and the division of the land. I would say during the time of chaos, it was very difficult to understand what is truth and what is not, and people going to Jesus as a part of the path of salvation during these difficult times. And then I also understand the other perspective of like being very, I don't know, almost sarcastic about it, I would say, like living in this doom and gloom of destruction and occupation and stuff like this.
Okay. So you, besides some of the things like the way that maybe, when you're talking about doom and gloom, like, are you talking about just like living in a world full of suffering? Or are you just talking about, again, the stuff going back to the way Christians have historically treated Jews? I guess I'm just trying to get on the same page with you.
No, I'm talking about the time of Christ during the Roman occupation.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Well, you say that as far as you know, Jesus was just like some kind of a good teacher or an amazing historical figure or something like that. I don't think that he claims to be. He makes some pretty strong claims.
Yes, because he
where-
did preach about the corruption that's going on in the temple back in the day.
Sure. He did talk about that, but he talked a whole lot more about that. And so you said you have a Jewish background, right? So you'll probably be, I'm going to read a verse to you real quick. I don't know, Than, if I could like share a screen or something.
Yeah, go for it. I
Okay.
think I figured out the TikTok thing, but
Yeah,
I'm just trying to.
no worries.
Let me know when
Well,
you share the screen and I'll. Here it is, I
it's,
see it.
it's up there. Okay. So this is, let me zoom in a little bit here. Sorry if I'm a little bit slow. I'm just trying to kind of understand where you're coming from. And Coley, feel free to jump in at any point.
Yeah, I'm just listening, trying to
yeah.
do the same thing.
Yeah, no worries. And so this is something that, according to the Gospel of Matthew, that Jesus taught, and he makes similar statements throughout the synoptic Gospels, right? The Matthew, Mark, and Luke. He says, whoever loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. And whoever loves son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. Okay. So he also says a similar thing. This is Luke 14:25 through 26, where it says, if anyone comes to me and does not hate, he's not saying like literally hate. He's just saying it's like a compared to me, like you would want to think lowly of them, because like he's obviously making some claims, like some kind of exalting sounding kind of claims here, where he says, if anyone does not hate his father or mother or wife or children or brothers and sisters, yes, even his own life, he cannot be my disciple. Now, you as a Jewish person would understand that like you have a sacred duty to your family, right? Exodus 20:12. I mean, this is one of the big 10, right? Honor your father and mother, that your days may be long in the land that the Lord your God is giving you, right? And so to dishonor your parents is to dishonor God. And I don't know if you're familiar with like the Jewish philosopher Philo, but he was a contemporary of Jesus. He was writing in the 1st century. He says, when talking about the 10 commandments and talking about this specific commandment in Exodus 20:12 about honoring your father and mother, he says, for parents themselves are something between the divine and human nature, partaking of both, of human nature inasmuch as it is plain that they have been born and they will die, and of a divine nature because they have engendered other beings and brought what did not exist into existence. In my opinion, what God is to the world, that parents are to their children, right? And so here, Philo has this very high view of parents. He says they stand on the borderline between the divine and human. And then Josephus, who was also a 1st century Jew, writing a little bit later than Philo, he says, the law ordains also that parents should be honored immediately after God himself, and delivers that son who does not requite them for the benefits he hath received of them, and so on and so forth. So Josephus is basically saying that honor to parents ranks only second to honor to God. But what does Jesus demand? Again, he says, whoever loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. And so Jesus places a loyalty to himself that's actually above the most sacred human obligation. He doesn't just merely say, love God more than family. He says, love me more than family, right? There's also this interesting passage kind of along these lines in Matthew 8:21 through 22, where somebody comes up to Jesus and they're like, hey, Lord, I want to follow you, but I first, let me bury my father, right? I'm assuming maybe his father was elderly and he was, just kind of waiting, taking care of him until he could bury him, right? And anyways, Jesus said to him, follow me and let the dead bury their own dead. And so that seems kind of harsh. I mean, in Jewish, like I said, just all with everything about the Jewish context of honoring your father, mother, honoring your father and mother, that's kind of a big deal, right? And even Tobit, it says, which is an intertestamental work, says that it talks about your burial duties as children to your parents. We also see the same thing in Ben Sirach, which is another intertestamental work. And so Jesus places immediate discipleship to himself, even above that duty, right? And so Jesus is basically redirecting supreme allegiance to himself. Like the Shema commands total love for God, and he's basically saying, hey, that kind of total love, your love for me has to come even before your love for parents. And so that's not something that like a mere man, like just a human teacher would likely say, especially in a Jewish context. He's putting himself in the place of God. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from, and I understand the perspective of the people who wrote it, but still, I would like to read the New Testament in Hebrew in some chance that I have, or get my hands on it and fully understand, because for me, like, I know for a million years, like, the translation between Hebrew to English is better. I just would like to see it for myself.
Okay. I mean, these are people who are translating the Bible straight out of the Greek. And so I do understand. Would you agree that when Jesus is making a statement like this, he's claiming like a special status for himself that's just above like your normal kind of rabbi or human teacher, or even a prophet? Has there ever been a prophet who said, love me more than you love your family? Did Moses even say that? Do you see what I'm saying?
No, I know that nobody said it. Nobody claimed, like none of the prophets or any other prominent character in the Bible claimed this statement. I know, at least in the Christian theology, I have a lot of Christian friends, and their understanding of Jesus, it's just the only reason for me not to fully go deep dive into Christianity, it's just out of heritage, I would say, like after all how my family endured it. Well, and the reason why we carried Judaism till this day is because they were stubborn enough to keep it.
Sure. No, I totally understand that. But remember, this even goes back to the statement that Jesus made. Whoever loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. So if you believe he made these claims, but you say that you love your family heritage more than you would love Jesus, then Jesus himself is saying that you wouldn't be worthy of him. Right. And so, like, if he's going to be your judge after this life, not your parents, like, this is kind of the more important person that we want to align ourselves with. Again, I'm as a Christian, I am appalled and disgusted by some of the ways that people who have, in the name of Christ, wielded the sword and have done, stupid things and have persecuted Jews. That's embarrassing. There's no excuse for that. Again, I don't want to say that's I don't want to do the no true Scotsman, but at the same time, I see absolutely no warrant for that in Scripture. And so I understand that like your parents came through this background. You guys really value your Jewish heritage and all of that other stuff, and that's, you know, that's good and all, but there's a higher command, there's a higher demand here, and so you don't want to reject this just based on a family relationship that really only lasts throughout this life, right? Life is short. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, right? And so you don't want to, like, you know, I think I'll just choose family over you, Jesus. Like that's not going to be the way that you'd want to safely bet. You know what I'm saying?
No, I never say never. Let's call it like this. I would like to learn more. Definitely, I'm not fully anti or something like this. It's just I would like to look for where to go. Let's call it like this, and see for myself and go into deep dive. Like I went deep dive into Islam when I used to live in Israel and like truly understand the fundamentals of it. I would like to do the same with Christianity.
Yeah, definitely. I wouldn't ask you to make a commitment to something that like just blindly. I would want you to investigate the evidence. And if you feel like this is a serious enough thing to where it's like, hey, if my eternity is possibly staked on this, then I'm going to take a serious look at this. And so what I would recommend, Shay, since this is just like a call-in and we probably have other people, and what I would recommend is go to there's a ministry that Than and I both volunteer for called talkaboutdoubts.com, and there are counselors. This is totally free service, right?
Yeah.
And so we don't do like at the Dawa guys and charge you $50 an hour for your doubts counseling or whatever. And so, but it's totally free service. We have experts in philosophy, we have experts in history, biblical archaeology, all kinds of just backgrounds, right? We have just people who textual criticism, all of that stuff. And so it's super simple. You just go to talkaboutdoubts.com, fill out the form, and what we can do, and Than and I have been a part of this, where we can talk to you once, twice, multiple times if you want.
Yeah.
We can get into deep dives and show you some of the evidence for, say, like the historical reliability of the Gospels or Acts. We could talk to you about the resurrection. We could talk to you about the Apostle Paul. We could talk to you about modern day miracles that happen in Christian context today. We could talk about all of it if you want to. And we can also not just talk, but we can show you the resources for and against. And you can make the best possible decision, because if this is an important decision, I mean, you think about it, like people go to college for 4 years just to kind of determine what career they're going to go into. And they agonize over which college they're going to pick just to do that. Like, this is how much more important is your eternity. And so I'm glad that you want to investigate it. And I'm certainly would never push you to a decision, but I would absolutely encourage you to investigate. And Talk About Doubts is 100% here to help you. And like I said, we'll even point you to the sources that criticize Christianity as well, so that you can hear both sides, because we don't want to just give you a caricature of Christianity and paint, you know, everything like overly rosy. We want you to really be able to weigh the evidence out for yourself and make a decision and go from there. So do you think you could check that out if you
No, this is something that I really appreciate about you guys, for sure.
Awesome.
All right, Shay. Well, definitely reach out to that Talk About Doubts website, just talkaboutdoubts.com. Try to book an appointment, and then you can mention that you talked to Eric and I when you put that in as well. Yeah. If anything, Eric and I can just book some sessions too to talk with you privately.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. I would love you. Thank you for your time.
All right.
Awesome.
God bless you, sister.
Yep. Nice to meet you.
Bye.
Okay. We'll save super chats for a little bit. Next, we got this guy here. You're muted.
Hello.
Is it Rimon, or is it
Rimon.
Rimon. Okay.
So I've been on the channel before when IP was here, but I didn't
Yep.
show my face.
Okay.
So I kind of said before, like, I can't see myself loving my enemies. The divorce doesn't make sense to me in Christianity, because divorce you can only do for adultery according to the Bible. And then there's another thing I can't really do, which is Jesus said, "You cannot come to me and." Hold on, I'm not going to butcher this verse.
You're good.
So it's, you can't come to me unless you deny yourself. Which, in other words, don't be truthful to who you are.
Yeah, I don't think that's what he's referring to there.
Yeah.
Thankfully,
Like
right?
he
Not
did-
about.
But he did say those words.
Yeah, but what does he say afterwards? Do you know the rest of the verse? Do you have it pulled up?
And carry your cross.
Right. And follow me. Right. And so there's this picture. It's not about being like, I don't even know what that means. Be true to yourself. Well, what it's talking about there is a measure of like allegiance, right? That Jesus, so you even think in the context, like he's essentially warning those people at that time that if you're going to follow him, you might be crucified by Rome. And so he's questioning, well, what is your allegiance to? Is it going to be to the current governing state of Rome, or is it going to be to me? And if your allegiance is to me, then you have to be willing to go against Rome, right? And so it's really a question
Like
of
a rebellion.
no, because he's the king, right?
No,
Jesus is
not rebellion against him, rebellion against the state.
right. But what I'm saying is like when you're under the ultimate authority, when you've submitted to the ultimate authority, you're not the one that's in rebellion. It would be anyone who is rejecting that authority, right? So Rome had a level of authority, 100%. But if Jesus really is God, he really is King of Kings and Lord of Lords, then to follow him is ultimately not be in rebellion, if that makes sense.
Okay.
But even going back to, I thought it was interesting. You mentioned hard to, would you say love your enemy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, hey, let's be real. That's just difficult as a human being to love people who don't treat you well, who are against you, who oppose you. I think.
Or let's say Hooven doxes you.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I still love my enemies.
Yeah. Well, the beauty of the gospel, the beauty of the Christian message that I think compels and allows Christians to still love their enemy is because even when I was in rebellion against God, he chose to love me and send Jesus to pay for my sin. And so if in my rebellion, God can choose to love me, when I experience that love, I'm then able to go and love others even when they oppose me. Does that make sense?
I can see where you're coming from.
Yeah, I'll put it more like this: when in some sense, when my enemy has shown love to me and I've experienced the beauty of that, then when another enemy comes, and it's kind of the same thing, but really, if I'm the enemy to God, and he's shown love to me, then when someone is an enemy to me, I can show love to them because of the love I've experienced from him.
You mean to return the favor, sort of like.
If I can interject something really quick here, Coley.
Sorry.
Yeah.
No, you're good. I think the two things that we're actually talking about, denying yourself and loving your enemies, are connected.
And divorce.
Yeah, all of this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Because there's also this other language that's used in the Bible about us, right? We're slaves of sin, and we are called to be slaves of Christ instead, right? And the basic idea is, every single time you're sinning, every single time you allow hatred, lust, lies, fear, etc., every single time you allow those things to have a foothold in the decisions you make, the way you interact with the world, everything, those are the things that control you, right? And so when Jesus is telling you to deny yourself, and you're automatically thinking, well, I want to be authentically myself. Well, the very thing that's keeping you from authentically being who you truly are is sin itself. And that's why there's all of this stuff that's happening, right? The true freest man is the man who his heart has been changed in accordance with the will of Christ, because that is the heart that is free from the temptations and free from the fears and the controls of the world.
Amen, Brother Than.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Mm.
Like, there are people out there that want to harm me because of what I do. And I've had multiple opportunities to strike back at them in social ways that would have embarrassed them and all this other stuff. And I was just on the phone with my friend Eric here recently about a debate that I was going to have, right? And I had a bunch of people telling me, oh, you got to embarrass this guy, yada, yada, yada. And Eric, remember, and I was telling you,
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to do that. There's not an ounce of this in me, right? Because I'm free. I am free from the need to do any of that stuff, right? Now, that doesn't mean I'm perfect. I'm like, just to be clear, I'm not pretending like I'm some moral exemplar,
I agree.
right? But you get the point, right? Like, I actually wake up and go to sleep at night with a heart that's aligned towards Christ, not perfectly aligned, but with a heart that's aligned towards Christ in such a way that I am authentically myself, and I don't have bondage, right? I'm not a slave to hatred, to anger, to needing to lie to people, to needing to fit in with a tribe or anything like that, right? Because I know that my name is
He's in
eternally,
Christ.
yes.
Yeah, it's like, so denying yourself doesn't mean to actually to deny, but to be authentic in Christ type of thing.
Well, I would say being authentic in Christ is you being who you truly are, right? Who God has created you to be.
Yeah.
In
I
his
mean,
image.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump in too early there, but it says, whoever does not take his cross and follow me is not worthy of me. And then right after he says, whoever finds his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. And so it's when
I want to comment on that verse. Whoever finds his life will lose it.
Right.
Whoever loses his life will find it for my sake. So, would that also require no self-defense?
No.
Because there are, and I think there are Christians like that, pacifists, like Jay Smith.
I know. Go ahead, Eric, if you want to say something on this.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
I know a few Christian pacifists. You have to understand that pacifism is not
biblical.
No, I was going to say pacifism is a term that it doesn't just have one meaning, right? So there are Christian pacifists that I disagree with, but I call myself a Christian pacifist nonetheless. And what I mean by that is, I'm only going to use force when it's justified, right? So protecting my wife and children, or if I have to use force to protect myself. But my standard operating procedure is de-escalate and avoid situations where I would ever have to use force in the first place, right? So it's like an absolute last resort. And even then, I use the minimal amount of force necessary to take care of the situation, right? Now, there are pacifists out there that would say that pacifism means literally no force at all, and I would argue against them, right? But
you could. Are you talking about Christian pacifists?
Yes. Yeah.
You can use the verse where Jesus flips table over and whips the people out for selling and buying stuff in the temple, I think. And then he says, "You made my father's house into a den of thieves."
Right. And so we also have other I would argue that the Bible teaches something called virtue ethics, if you know what that is.
Something
It's
to do
okay.
with righteousness, right?
The very basic idea is just it's teaching us to cultivate and habituate, right? Build habits that cultivate a character within us that make us more virtuous people. And I would argue, right, that the Bible teaches that defending the weak, right, defending the weak, the widow, the orphan, from people who would otherwise do harm to them, is a virtue. That sometimes means using force.
Did the church fathers ever got just war from the Old Testament passages? Because you're quoting Old Testament passages.
Man, the Old Testament. So the church. There's some church fathers like Origen, for instance, and others who look at the war text as allegorical, for instance, right? And there are Christians throughout history that use the war text as a means to justify just war, right? Just war theory in of itself, though, is not a uniquely Christian idea, right? This is just a philosophy of war idea that Christians have taken on. But I wouldn't use the war texts to justify war at all, because I think that the war texts, once you properly understand them,
some of them are descriptive.
Well, I actually think that the narrative of the war text themselves, once you read them properly, meaning you read them for the audience that they were intended, right?
Yeah.
I.e., the early Israelites, it's subversive against war, right? It's presenting God in the Old Testament as a reluctant war god. And there's tons of passages that once you read everything all together in context, right? It's the theme is do not take vengeance into your own hands. Don't take matters into your own hands. I mean, Samuel starts off, right, with Israel asking for a king, and God says what? No, if you have a king, this is what's going to happen. Your people will be in war. They'll have to be taxed, etc., etc., etc. And then nonetheless, Israel still wants a king. And then what happens, right? You have so many places where, for instance, David wants to build a temple after a battle in celebration of Yahweh. And God says, no, don't do that. I don't want my name associated with bloodshed, right?
Yeah.
There's so many things here. The first mention of a weapon, right? A flint sword. Hopefully this isn't too much for TikTok. But the first mention of a weapon, right, in the war texts is, I forget exactly where it is off the top of my head. I can find it for you if you want. But it's a patriarch and his followers before battle circumcise themselves.
Are you talking about Abraham?
I don't remember off the top of my head. I can find it, but does that sound like a wise decision before you go into war to take a flint sword to?
That actually, I think. Wait,
I can find it.
Joshua or Abraham.
I'll find it.
Flint knife. They circumcised themselves before going into the Holy Land, right?
Give me a sec. I can pull it up. But you can just tell me what your thoughts are on what I said so far, if you want.
Well, I would like to investigate and stuff. And
Oh yeah, of course. Do you like to read books at all?
Sometimes, not always, but I do have a Bible.
That's why I ask.
I do have a Bible at home from King James.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to find the passage here. The only reason I'm saying if you like to read books, there's one book that I love on this topic. It's called Flood and Fury by a scholar named Matthew Lynch.
Matthew Lynch. Okay.
Yes. Really, really good. Just trying to find this passage. But for some reason I can't.
Is it when they go out of Egypt and they're in, is it Flint knife?
let's see. Here it is, Joshua 5, 2 through 9. This is
I
before.
was right then. Why I
Yep,
was
yeah.
right.
Yep. This is before their first battle. This is in Gibeath Harloth, right? And then they circumcise themselves
Again.
before they go into battle. So now the question is, right, like what's the point? What's the point of this of Joshua, right? This might actually help. This is more of like a psychological thing to think about when it comes to some of the war texts, right? I don't know if you live in the West or where you live. You don't have to tell us.
I
at
do
least
live in the West.
In America, right? A lot of people I didn't grow up a Christian, so I know this only by seeing how other people have grown up. And I've heard and I've seen how every single Christian that's grown up as a Christian, they do these plays. And then there's always the play of Samuel and the war text and all this other stuff, and they portray war as this glorious thing, right? It's an Americanized interpretation of battle, right? But the thing is, we project that onto the text as we grow up, and it's not the right way to read the text, because when you're reading the text, it's subversive, right? The point of Joshua is not that men win battles through the sword, right? You'd be hard pressed to look, but it's through the power of worship and Torah, right?
Okay. I mean, there's also another text in Genesis where I think her name is some lady got raped by. Am I allowed to say this because you're on TikTok?
I mean, yeah, just try to be TikTok friendly.
Great.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Some woman got raped, and this guy wanted to marry her after he raped her.
You're talking about Deuteronomy?
No, it's not Deuteronomy. No, it's in Genesis.
Do you know what passage he's talking about, Eric or Coley?
So some lady, Dinah.
He's not talking about Judah, is he? Is that the story of Judah?
No, that Dinah. You know, Dinah was Jacob's daughter.
I know it's in Genesis somewhere. I'm trying to.
So Jacob's daughter got raped, and then the two brothers deceitfully told the men
34.
Yeah, good. Told the men to get circumcised so that they can marry into each other. But then after 3 days later, they came in and unalived every single male and then took the women for themselves. Right? Is that the gist of the story?
I'm just reading through it right now.
Yeah, I'm just powering through it too.
I'm just taking the gist of the story, not the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Just seems like it's more about they would intermarry.
So what's your question about this?
My question is, so you said it's all about obedience, right?
Well, this isn't about war texts, but
yeah, I know this is unaliving a whole population, prescriptive. No, not prescriptive, descriptive, telling you what happened at that time.
Yeah, this seems like a descriptive case. So it's just, I guess I'm not understanding what your question is here then.
No, I'm just pointing it out. You brought up Joshua, wouldn't they be like, wouldn't it be painful for the Israelites to go into war when they had to get circumcised and to go to the Holy Land? To like, wouldn't it be painful for them? Because it was painful for the people back then, in Genesis, 3 days later, because they were still sore from the circumcision. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. So I think you may have misunderstood my point of the Samuel thing. First of all, Genesis is a different kind of text. So the way we read this should be a little bit different. With the Samuel thing, I'm pointing to the literary style of Samuel, right?
Okay.
The whole entire point is if the text is supposed to glorify war, right? It's not doing that when the first time it's bringing up weapons, it's for obedience to Yahweh, right? It's being subversive to it all throughout the text in general. That is the whole point that I'm trying to make with the war text.
I see what you mean. Like, the Bible doesn't glorify war. It just
Correct.
gives you descriptions of what happened and what God says what to do. And yes, there is, I think it's in Chronicles, where God says, I don't want you to build a temple because you're associated with bloodshed.
Yes.
Yeah, I understand that because I've actually read that. Okay.
Yeah, and there's tons of other parts, moving pieces to this at the end of the day, right? I'm kind of giving just the bird's eye view of this. Coley was with me one day for a debate event that we were all together, and Coley, you heard me rambling for hours about this topic. It's really hard to kind of compress everything. So you're muted, my friend.
Yeah. Also,
I was disagreeing.
Could I take this video to put it on my channel?
Yeah, go ahead, bro.
Yeah, after this live streaming is done, because you can't do it until the live streaming is done.
Yeah.
All right. See you. Peace.
God bless you. Later. I stopped the TikTok stream because we kept on getting violations. Apparently, I'm not moving enough. I'm not moving enough. I don't even know what that is. For anybody wondering, because I see people asking, where's Mike? Mike's in fake America right now in the UK, and probably sleeping. He's probably sleeping. So
let's wake him up. Call him.
Should I call him?
I'm sure you'd love that.
Hey, just need to bring you in on the live stream real quick. Say hi. Sorry you're sleeping. I don't know. It's only like 10 o'clock there. He could be awake. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, real quick. I got an Amazon package as soon as the stream was supposed to start. And I'm like looking at all this stuff that I got, and I'm like so excited to get into it. For anybody that doesn't like live in the Midwest or anything like that, there's these old like 1800 style like root cellars. And I'm starting a remodel project on the one that's in my house. It literally looks like a dungeon. It's terrifying. If you guys wait, do you get Coley? Do you know what? And Eric, do you know what cordyceps is?
Not a clue.
Imagine a fungus. Think zombies. Okay, seriously, a zombie fungus that attacks insects, controls their minds, and then they go up to the ceiling and then burst open to spread the fungus more.
Wow, sounds like the thing.
Yeah, that fungus is in the root cellar that's sealed off. So this weekend I'm actually like, I got a bunch of PPE to do it, to clean it out. So like I got full face respirator and all this other stuff that I have to take care of because I'm going to remodel it. And I'm like super pumped to go through all that stuff right now.
You could just put the face mask on. You could just put the face mask on for the stream. I mean,
yeah, you think so? I have to peel this off really quick. Let's see.
If the chat
I
gets too toxic,
I need to.
you know.
I actually. Well, I need to
Gotta take your
check if the
glasses
seal's
off, or
good.
maybe.
Let's see. Let's see. I don't have the. I don't have the.
See, there you go.
There we go.
That actually is a good seal. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good seal. But yeah, so
Epic.
There's like a meme there, like me getting ready to go through the comment section of the latest Libiano video or something. I don't know.
me getting ready to do a dawa. All right, let's do some super chats before we get to the next caller. Hey IP, I've been getting really into the Crusades justification lately. Do you have any good books on the topic? Mike is not here, but I know my friend David Paulman has been going through this topic. I haven't looked into it that much, so I'm not going to be that big of a resource here. But David Paulman's got a big video series on it, so I would go check that out. I don't know. Do you guys have anything?
It's not a topic of interest for me.
Yeah, not yet. Maybe one day.
Yeah, maybe one day. Yeah.
Randy with the 5 memberships. Thank you.
I'm all great.
Fan is late and straight. Man, don't say that out loud too loud. The Dawa bros are gonna be upset. Late. Is that?
That looks like Elf David Wood.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's Star Trek David Wood.
Oh, right.
Raid from Big John Steele. What's up, Mixologists? What's going on, man? This raid has been brought to you by Big John Steele. Thanks, John. You are. I was gonna say, no. You are a gentleman. Because we're not gay anymore. I became a Christian after Afghanistan, was almost killed by a mortar shell, and I became one after several years of struggling to deal with that and a large amount of guilt and PTSD.
Sheesh.
Man, God bless you, man. I hope nothing but the best for you, and get help if you're still struggling. Seriously. Testify recently started watching your videos after IP. Who's BIP?
Bips.
Baby IP? Am I BB? Baby IP?
I thought of Tim, Black IP.
No, because Tim and I call each other Black and Tan, but I'm black and he's tan, so it'd be me.
Maybe
I'm
you're-
Black
yeah.
IP. Really enjoy your content. Anything you want to say from this
If
I
man
just
who
want
has
to
a
say
really
that his name
sus
is
profile page?
His
Yeah.
name is I Rode the Prophet.
I'm good. But thank you.
That's his name.
Praise God. If it's good, it's grace. I'm assuming he really likes the Islam videos. So
Christianity is about entering into a personal relationship with Christ. Forcible conversions are antithetical to that. Amen.
we must
God
collect
bless.
the jizya.
Dan, you should do a live stream with Ethan Muse on miracles. Why did I say that in a Dawa voice? That'd be kind of cool. I want to do more stuff on miracles. I have like a few videos I want to do before we get into some streams and all that stuff. Yeah, I have a lot of really cool stuff I want to do on miracles. It's just taking time. And then also, unfortunately, it takes getting people used to miracles as an apologetic, as evidence, because I mean, Eric, I'm sure you're used to this. You put out the miracles out there, and then you get a bunch of dumb objections that you know are coming, and half of them take like, well, you need to know sociology to understand why this question you're asking is dumb. Like,
Yeah.
it's frustrating.
Not really good objections to the argument.
Right.
It's pretty bad.
This is to acknowledge Matt for being goated. What am I reading here? Coley, you're young.
No idea,
What is-
bro. Dude, we're the same age, man. I think
Oh,
I'm
really?
older than you. How old are you?
I'm 32.
I'm 33.
I'm gonna be 33 in October. So
Dude, I'm like 6. I just turned 33.
maybe I just feel older than you are because I have 3 kids.
It does that, man. It's weird how that works.
Yeah. Any books about studying Hebrew?
Hebrew 101. Hebrew for Dummies.
Yeah, I mean there's so many out there.
Those are made up books.
If you do me a favor, young Redeemer, if you're serious about learning Hebrew, shoot me an email, than@inspiringphilosophy.com. Tell me where you're at with your Hebrew first, and then I'll recommend something. Is that fair? Another 5, thank you.
I'm all Greg.
On Vortex, Gideon had minimal violence possible. Yep.
True.
There's a lot of crazy stuff. Love is in the air. Wrong. Mold soul.
That's good.
All right, let's get to our next caller here. Sword of the Lord. Can you hear us?
Yeah.
What's going on, brother? Are you not a Christian? I see the name, so I'm assuming you're a Christian, but
Yeah, Nazarene.
okay. So what's going on, man?
Yeah, I saw you guys made a video about your opinions on polygamy in the Bible, right?
Mike
wanted to give you-
probably made that video, not me, but you could continue.
Okay, but do you agree with him on that? That you think that
I don't watch Mike's content.
But do you agree, or are you in agreement that you guys think that polygamy is not good?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Are you for it?
yeah.
I thought you're Nazarene. That's like that's kind of one of those holiness denominations right there. Seems a
Yeah, I know.
little. I think are you in good fellowship and standing with your church?
Yeah,
I
the
don't mean that
followers of
Facetiously,
earliest-
but
the earliest followers of Christ were called Nazarene, and they didn't have anything against polygamy themselves.
That's not true.
Are you when you say they were Nazarenes, are you taking into account the Nazarene? Gosh, I can't say the word off the top of my head. There's a
Nazarene.
distinction, right? There's Nizarnios or something like that, and then there's Nazarenes. Are you taking that distinction into account?
Yeah, then you're talking about the Nazarite vow. Where you
No,
grow your
I'm
hair out
talking
and-
about the early witnesses we have about the Nazarenes and Nazareans or something like that. I can find it in a bit, but
Mhm.
continue.
Yeah,
I think he's BHI.
but we don't agree that polygamy is sin.
Who's we?
The Nazarenes,
Okay, is this
the
not
ones who
not Nazarene like Church of the Nazarene? Is this like a please I don't mean this in a way. Is this like a Hebrew Israelite group?
no, we don't agree with the Black Hebrew Israelite doctrine.
Okay.
Do you have more than one wife?
Yeah.
Okay.
So did Abraham. So did
Yeah.
Job,
So let's
King David, Solomon.
let's stop at Abraham, right? Do you realize the polygamous nature of his relationships is what caused this major rift in his distrust with God?
Distrust with God.
Yes, he's promised his offspring, right? Who is initially going to be Isaac. He doesn't trust God, and he and his wife don't trust God. They take matters into their own hands, and he takes her maidservant Hagar as a wife, and then they have Ishmael. Like all that's happening in the story is disobedience to God. This is a picture of polygamy being bad, not good.
That's not what Scripture says. Scripture says that Abraham took Hagar, and so he could bear a child. And God said that he will bless him while he's doing this. God's not showing any disappointment for him. I wouldn't say that he's disobeying God.
Then why did he still need to have a child with his wife in order to keep the covenant going through Isaac? Why couldn't it have been Ishmael?
Why couldn't it have been?
Yeah, if it wasn't a problem, if it wasn't an issue, if he was doing the right thing, why isn't Ishmael the child of the covenant?
But you have to ask yourself, why isn't God saying anything to Abraham? He's not showing him any signs of anger. He's telling him, I'm going to bless
Okay,
you.
we disobey God all the time in our lives. People do sinful things. If God interrupted every single time someone tried to do something sinful, there'd be no point. There'd be no free will. It's like,
Okay, so you don't agree with God when he said that Abraham kept all my laws, statutes, and commandments.
What are you referring to?
Chapter and verse. yeah.
Genesis,
Cool. Well,
I think 26.
what do you think God is referring to there?
He's saying that Abraham obeyed him.
Did he, was what? Okay. What were the laws?
The laws of God,
Okay. What were they?
the ways of God.
That's like generic. See, like the thing is this is even before the Mosaic law comes.
Yes, that's God's law that he gave to Moses.
Okay, so here's what I'm trying to point out to you is it's not like there's anything stated at this point whether or not polygamy is good or bad. There's no law, there's nothing written. So our only way to determine on whether or not it's good or bad is to read the story and see how it plays out amongst the people. And
Well,
this
there are laws on how to be polygamous in the Torah.
yeah, every governing law system has things within their governance that they tolerate. It doesn't mean it's actually good.
Okay, but why are they tolerating it?
God tolerates our sin in a myriad of different ways, right? It's for a time, but we see in the new covenant, we see in Genesis 1, that marriage is between a man and a woman. We see Jesus reinstate this during his ministry. And then we see the apostles approve of this and that church leaders should only be married to one wife. So you can't even be a leader in the church. And who's the one setting the example? It's the leaders. And in the Old Testament, the king is not supposed to be in polygamous relationships either.
Okay, but you're saying a lot, and it's kind of hard to like keep up with everything you're saying.
I'm just showing kind of the continuity of scripture. We have Genesis 1, we have Jesus, we have the church.
But for the sake of edifying the people, we have to stay at one place at a time. You said that you agree with me that it's in Torah, right? They have laws for it in Torah.
Yes, it doesn't mean it's good.
That means it's legislated by God.
What do you think legislation? What do you think legislation is? By the way, just real quick, this is a really important.
It's lawful,
right? But what does that mean in the ancient Near Eastern context?
What I mean by it is that it's allowed by God. If God didn't want you to do that, he's not going to give you laws on how to do it. Like if it says don't.
Okay, sword.
In the Bible,
but in the ancient Near Eastern, wait, hold on. You were just saying that we need to stick to one point at a time. This is a really important point.
Right.
In the ancient Near Eastern context, you like, and it's okay if you don't. I'm just asking so I don't start speaking past you. Do you understand how laws were viewed in the ancient Near East?
I don't know what you mean by that.
Okay. Do you think the laws in the ancient Near East looked the way they do now? Where like we have legislations, and if you commit a certain act, there's a judicial system that enacts a punishment relevant to that crime, just like we have today?
I don't call it the ancient Near East crime. I call it the Torah, God's laws.
The Torah was produced within the ancient Near East, hence the ancient Near Eastern context.
No, these are God's laws. The word Torah means way, the way of God.
I know. And what geographical, cultural, and chronological context were these produced in?
Okay, so when it says don't sleep with an animal,
okay, that's not answering my question.
Yes, I am.
No, you're not. I just asked you. I asked you a question about the origin.
That was pretty, dude. That was a dishonest answer, man. That's crazy.
But you're not even listening to my. Can I give you the answer before you say it's dishonest?
I'm gonna. You can do that, but I'm gonna predict that's gonna have. It's in no way, shape, or form gonna answer my question.
Okay, let me answer you first. If our Torah is saying you can't sleep with an animal, does that not apply to everyone?
Okay, the Torah regulates how to treat slaves. Should we still have slaves today?
I was just about to bring that up.
Is slavery okay? Is slavery
yes?
Right now?
The word slave means.
Thank you.
I'm a slave of God. I'm a slave of God.
Okay, no, is another human being having?
I'm a slave of God.
And I understand that you're a slave of God. Paul's a slave of God. Okay, or at least you can claim that.
Amen. So,
So
you
listen,
know,
listen. No, stop.
you asked
stop,
me, was it, you just said
stop.
Paul. Come on, man.
Stop. No. Seriously. You know what kind of slavery I'm talking about. So you're being dishonest again. When I called you dishonest earlier, I think that my intuition was correct because you immediately hopped to slave to God. You know that's not the kind of slavery I'm talking about. I'm talking about
Exactly.
Is it okay for another human being to own another human being? Is that okay? Is that morally
Absolutely.
permissible?
God owns me. And
No,
he
stop
taught in-
about God owns
he
me.
taught-
Can another human
he taught
being
in his Torah
can another
how
human
you own other human beings,
S-
just
s-
like
sword,
you are
sword.
an employee at
Sword,
your
it's
job.
a yes, it's a yes or a no.
You're an
Can
employee at your
I'm not
job.
talking about employees. At
That's
my
what the
job.
word slave means.
That's,
It means
that's
No, it
not
doesn't.
owning
employee.
someone else. You can quit your job at any time and go do whatever you want.
Okay, so look, in scripture, when you own a slave, you can't do it by force. If you were to force somebody to be a slave, the punishment was to be unalived. And if you offered yourself
the Old
up to
Testament
be,
regulates
hold on,
regulates having
if-
slaves.
That's the point that we're
Right.
making
Okay.
is that it regulates
So how
moral
about this really
behavior
quick?
for spiritually dead people before the new covenant comes.
no,
And Christ provides the Holy
but
Spirit
y'all-
regeneration.
Notice really quick, you guys. We just got way off track off the original question I just asked. My question still has not been answered.
I answer you, but you guys
No, you
keep
didn't.
jumping
You
from topic to
asked me.
topic.
You asked me a question.
And you're not
about
even
the
allowing me to
application.
answer.
No. This is not your stream, so you are not going to keep cutting me off. I'm explaining to you now why the answer you gave me, i.e., the question you asked me in response to my question, has nothing to do with what I was asking. Right? The answer to your question is whether or not there is a universal moral principle to the Torah, and of whether or not that's universally
Absolutely.
applicable. That is not what I'm asking you, though, is it? Again, I'm asking you, do you know what the ancient Near Eastern concept of law was? Is it like legislation today, or is it something else?
It's okay if you don't know.
Why are you
Yes,
asking
like that's
me
what I
that?
said.
But
That's
I'm
what I
talking.
said. I said it's okay if you don't know.
But okay, so you're responding to something that I wasn't even talking about.
No, I'm
talking
not
about
actually.
Torah.
This has everything to do
Yeah.
with your problem here. And I can tell you what it is if you would just be honest and tell me you don't know what the ancient Near Eastern context is.
What is it?
Okay, so you do not know what it is.
That's fine.
Great. Okay.
Good.
In the ancient Near Eastern context of law, it's not legal if X happens, then Y happens legislation. In the ancient Near East, law was seen almost as an extension of wisdom literature. Okay. And so case laws would happen, but more often than not, the punishment was never given. It was seen as wisdom literature for people to live a particular way and grow their community by having paradigmatic case law to tell them the severity of certain things or actions. Okay. Now, this is really important because the Torah is supposed to be seen as redemptive, meaning that in the ancient Near Eastern context that Israel's in, it's not seen as a universal legislation for all mankind at all times in all places. How do we know this? Well, look in the New Testament. The Pharisees and the Sadducees and a bunch of different Jewish leaders in the Second Temple period are arguing about how they're supposed to follow Torah because they're in a different context, right? There are redemptive movements that happen in the Old Testament and certain changes when it comes to Torah as well. The whole entire point is that just because something is permitted at a particular point in time in the Old Testament, it doesn't follow that that thing is good or seen as acceptable at all times, right? Why is it, for instance, that in Genesis we have Adam and Eve and not Adam and Eve and Sarah and Abigail and Marilyn and except you get the point.
Can I
Right.
respond to what you're saying? Because you're saying so much. Like it's impossible for me to be able to respond to all this.
Well, he was just explaining it. What
Yeah,
are
I'm
your
just
thoughts?
explaining.
Right. And you're saying that you're trying to make a claim that the Pharisees changed the Torah. They don't have the authority to do that, and that's
I
what
did
Jesus
not say
was
that. I
speaking.
did not say that. I
He-
said a
he
very
said-
key, I said a
he
very
said-
key term, interpretation.
Right. They're trying to figure out how to interpret the Torah, not change it.
They're trying to figure out how to interpret the Torah.
Interpret and follow it.
Why would
Or
they need
another
to do
example,
that?
Jesus does this as well, right? Because he talks about following the heart of the Torah, the spirit of the Torah, right? Not following all the laws specifically. Like, you get the point.
No, he didn't say that.
What?
If you there are two great commandments: love the Lord with your God with all your mind, heart, and soul, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. If you do these, you follow everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what Dan's pointing out, that like he's taking the heart of it.
What is he,
Right.
bro? I'm not disagreeing with that.
Yeah.
You
sure.
just did.
But
What Than is pointing out is that,
why do you think I said absolutely?
well, at first you disagreed and now you've agreed. Like he said, Dan
No.
said, yeah.
Because
like,
you
it's
guys
all
aren't
recorded.
understanding what I'm saying, because you're trying to just respond, but you're not listening to what I'm saying.
Okay, let me stillman you. The Torah approves of polygamy, therefore it's acceptable. That's your argument, right?
It's approved by God's law. And God himself.
Wait, pause. Is there a difference between temporarily permitted and approved?
It's not temporarily permitted. This is God's law we're talking about.
Okay.
The perfect law of God.
So in Matthew 19, where it talks about Moses gave a command that
Yep.
you can give a certificate of divorce and send her away. Is that for all
Mhm.
time? Is that
And
approved
God
of for
gave
God?
him that command.
Okay. So Jesus says in Matthew 19:8, he said to them, because of your hardness of heart, Moses permitted,
Beautiful.
same thing, you to divorce your wives, but from the beginning, it was not so.
It doesn't say that in the Greek.
Oh my goodness. So
Doesn't
all the
say that in
people,
what?
so all the people who are,
Greek.
all the people who are translating this, the
word-
ESV, the NIV,
I
the
speak Greek.
NASB. Okay, great. Tell me what it says in the Greek. Translate it. in
Matthew
the Greek.
19. It does not say the word but.
What's the
word
verse
for but
again?
in Matthew 19.
Tell me in the Greek. I want to hear the Greek.
You
I
went
get
at
you.
you were
Speak-
reading 11, right?
Speak the Greek to me, brother.
I'm going to Greece soon.
Yes, it
Somebody
doesn't say
class.
the word al. It says
What's the,
Odeh.
dude, what is the passage?
I can pull
11.
the interlinear up
It's
right now.
Matthew, or it's 19:1
19:11?
through
It's 19:8.
8.
It's 19:8.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like 1 through 9, and so 8 is the verse.
Yeah.
What are you saying it doesn't say in the Greek there?
I said in verse 11, it doesn't say but. It says, and moreover. He's saying, I also say to you.
In verse 11 it doesn't say?
Okay, so
Verse
let's just
8.
take your
19:8.
interpretation. I also say to you, from the beginning it was not so. So how would that affect the meaning? Then he goes on to say, and I say to you, whoever divorces his wife except for sexual morality and marries another commits adultery. He points out earlier, he points back to the creation. He says it was not that way. It wasn't that way in the original creational
Yes.
order of things. It was one man, one woman, which is exactly what Paul teaches in 1 Corinthians 7:2. But because of temptation to sexual morality, each man should have his own wife, singular, and each woman should have her own husband. He's pointing back to the creational order of how things originally were, like Than was talking about. It wasn't Adam and Eve and Abigail and Marilyn and whoever
Right.
else. It was, he's saying that this is the way that God designed it.
Yes, and
in
I've
the
heard this
original.
argument.
And this is why he tells pastors over and over again, like, this is the requirement. If you're going to be in church leadership, One.
I've-
You have one.
I've heard
So,
this.
wait, hold on. You're lying.
Yeah.
First of all, why are you saying the word "the" is not the word "but" there?
Because it's not but. All is but in Greek.
Do you know what the Greek word there is? By the way, you're talking to
Well,
a
they
Greek
been
person. I'm
artists
just letting you know you're
pantes
talking to a Greek
sin
person.
Ton logon porton. Al.
I'm
That's the word
still
but.
trying to hear. Yeah, why should we think that the word "the" there is not "but"?
That means moreover in Greek.
No, it means a lot of different things. It can mean and it can be here. Let
It
me
means
just pull up.
moreover.
I can pull.
I
How
read in
about I
Greek
just
every day. I know
It
this.
doesn't matter.
Yes, it
like,
does matter.
It doesn't matter because he's saying
Here.
it was not so from the beginning.
Yeah, here. Just
Yes, you don't get
I-
married. So
but-
you,
but
look,
it
if
was
you're not
not
going to listen
so.
to it, look, if you're not going
I
to
am
listen to a
listening.
guy that knows Greek, that's fine. Here, I'll just pull up the standard
know Greek
lexicon
too.
that scholars use. Okay?
why are you
Here's
reading
that.
from the lexicon if you know Greek?
Because you're not listening to me.
Viewers?
Yeah?
Can you read this in Greek?
Hmm.
Let me hear
this
you
right
read
here?
it in Greek.
What's this right here? What's that word right
Can-
there, man?
Before you pretend like you read Greek,
What's this word right here?
Can you read the Greek first?
What's this word right here?
Can you read Matthew 19
What is this
first?
word that I just highlighted for you?
After I read it, are you going to read the Greek?
What is
Because
this
I
word
want to
that
hear
I
you.
just
I want
highlighted
to
for
hear
you?
you read Greek.
All
If
right.
you say
Yeah,
you speak Greek,
this guy. I don't know. Dan, it's your channel.
one right
man,
here?
But I think
What
this guy's
word?
wasting our time.
Yeah, this is
Theo?
Theos Apostolos de Isu Christou.
right?
Okay, I know how to read Greek, so don't try to knowledge gap me. I know what I'm doing.
You said the word apostolos wrong.
Brother, he's literally
You do
Greek.
realize there's
His
multiple
family is
dialects
Greek.
of Greek,
He's
right?
My
literally Greek.
You
He's
do realize
literally
there's
Greek.
multiple
My
ways to pronounce different
Okay,
Greek
that's
words,
fine.
right?
That's
Oh,
fine.
This is funny.
The Greek,
Why did
by the
you
way,
pronounce-
the Greek
why
accent.
do you pronounce-
Okay, no. Since we're
My
gonna do this
brother.
too now, no, shut up for a second. Since we're gonna do this too, the type
Brother.
of Greek I learned is in the villages in the third world part of Greece, in the mountains. So I know I originally learned
Right.
Hick Greek. Okay,
Mhm.
so before we start
Why do
getting
you pronounce the
hoity-toity
second
again,
word wrong?
and you don't even know how to read a lexicon,
Apostolos?
apparently.
Theo
Okay.
apostolos?
So we're gonna do the whole. Well, you mispronounced
Just-
the word
just-
according to my
I just-
dialectic thing. This is
yeah.
pathetic, man.
I just.
But
kicked
there's a
him.
tonos. There's a
All right,
tonos
man.
over.
Have a good rest of
over
your
the-
day.
I mean, he's just defending his right to. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah, he's just going to try to justify it. I wanted to see if he would say that he had multiple wives, and he did. I was like, holy crap!
Mm.
Nah, I'm done.
Send him to the police. That's illegal.
Ugh. I don't like getting
Yeah.
heated like that.
Nah, he wasn't worth it either. So.
No, I would have kept going. That was a good.
Oh,
time.
would you? Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We had a full-on polygamist here. I would have drove him into the ground.
Jerry.
Like, we got him to admit that slavery was okay. Like, God, we were just. Oh man.
He
What's
bit the
funny?
bullet.
What's funny is he wouldn't be willing. Like, think about the inconsistency here. Wasn't willing to interpret what is talking like about in regulating slavery in the Old Testament, right? On like an apparent like face value, but was willing to say, but polygamy. That's exactly what it's talking about in the Old Testament. Like, it's so dumb, so dumb.
It's
All
bad.
right.
It's bad. It's really, really bad.
It's bad. Man,
Why am I
making
so
fun of my mountain Greek man accent. That hurt my feelings actually a little bit, man. I'm not gonna lie.
I don't know. I'm just thinking, like, does he know?
I'm
what
a
he's
hick, I'm
talking
a
to?
hick as far as Greeks go. Like literally, like I have a mud hut house in the mountains of Greece that I've stayed at as a kid for like months on end, and that's the reason why I have a particular dialect of Greek. So
Yeah.
I hit a sore spot I didn't realize I had.
He's very sensitive about his hick heritage.
My hick heritage. Emulsify, what's going on, man? Can you hear us?
What? Oh yeah. All right. So where do we start? Where should we start?
You're the one that's not a Christian, man. What's on your mind?
Okay, fine. Like, okay, then there. Okay, like, first of all, to start, I think there's one. I think the single most damning chapter in the Bible is 2 Samuel 24, where because it says in it that God at first tempts David to sin, implying that he mind controls David to sin. Then he punishes 70,000 Israelites for David's sin by killing them all, as it seems. So how is that justified? What interpretation would justify that?
Let me pull up the passage here. What was it? 2 Samuel, he said?
2 Samuel 24, chapter 24.
Why am I having there we go. Samuel 24. Verse what?
It's just the whole chapter. It's 2 Samuel.
Oh, okay. The Lord was angry against Israel. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. So what's your question, man? Hey, exactly. Sorry.
Wait, what?
So what exactly is your question?
How would any of this be justified? You know?
What is this? Let's be a little bit more specific.
What God did in the chapter.
Okay. What did God do in the chapter?
It seems that he tempted David to sin, and then he sent an angel to kill 70,000 Israelites for David's sin, who did not sin. So he's punishing people who are not guilty of that sin for what David did.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that 70,000 is a literal number?
Well, it could be, but any way you want to play it, it still doesn't vary.
Given the track record of the Hebrew scriptures when it comes to numbers, especially when the numbers are 7, include the number 7, right? Should we take this as literal?
Well, I need to see evidence for why the number 7 is not literal. Because
the number 7 in the ancient Near East in general represents completeness, fulfillment, stuff like that. It's got a very significant, this isn't really disputed in general. So I can show you places where this is the case, but do you want to see evidence for that? What do you want to see?
The evidence, yeah.
Sure. Okay. Just trying to find, I don't remember what book is good for this. Eric and Coley, if you want to fill in the gap while I'm finding this.
I'm just curious, why do you say he tempted David to sin?
Once again, I'll read it then. Once again, the anger of the Lord burned against Israel, and he caused David to harm them by taking a census. He caused David. And then God even said to him, "Go and count the people of Israel and Judah," the Lord told him. And then God views that as a sin. So he basically literally told David to sin. Like the census.
Sure. Yeah, I'm just reading the whole. The whole chapter is 25 verses. I just think within the context of the chapter, David doesn't seem to perceive it this way. David seems to perceive that what he's done is wrong, not that the Lord has caused him to do anything. Right. Verse 10 says, "But David's heart struck him after he had numbered the people. And David said to the Lord, I've sinned greatly in what I've done. But now, O Lord, please take away the iniquity of your servant, for I've done very foolishly. Right? Like, and there, I mean, why wouldn't David go, this is your fault. You caused me to do this. And there's times in the Bible where people blame God for stuff. It's not like this would be unheard of.
Well, like,
don't get me wrong. It's a weird passage.
Yeah.
Like,
I think we can just admit it. It's a strange passage. Yeah.
Undoubtedly, it's a strange passage, but there's something going on within the context of which David has done something wrong here. In the people of Israel have done something wrong, which it's an odd because the chapter before this isn't about. It's about David's mighty men. And then we get verse 1 of David's census, right? It just says, again, the anger of the Lord was kindled against Israel. And what's interesting is even in the passage, for whatever reason, like if we're just taking the passage for what it is, whatever the Lord did, it's actually viewed as mercy. So we go down to 15, right? So the Lord sent pestilence because David, he actually gave David 3 options. And, the Lord sends pestilence on Israel from the morning until the appointed time, and there died of the people from Dan to Beersheba 70,000 men, which then is going, hey, this isn't literal. It says, and when the angel stretched out his hand towards Jerusalem to destroy it, the Lord relented from the calamity and said to the angel who was working destruction among the people, it is enough. Now stay your hand, right? So there's even an odd sense of like the passage is communicating that God is relenting from judgment.
Well, but he still carried out. It seems like he still carried out a lot of judgment, though, because like even if the number 70,000 isn't literal, like how is like the verses stating he killed people not literal? Like,
so real
what would
quick
be
here.
the case for like that all being metaphorical?
Yeah, just on the 7th thing. Okay, I was trying to find my slides that I gave on a talk on this. 7 days of creation. The construction of the tabernacle is completed in 7 stages. The ordination of a temple priest, 7 days. Solomon's temple, constructed in 7 years, dedicated to God during a 7-day festival in the 7th month. Solomon's dedication speech given in 7 petitions. In the ancient Near East, apart from the Bible, we have some 7-day temple dedications in the Gudea Sitlunders. The Ugaritic texts, you have Baal's cosmic temple completed in 7 days. And you can kind of keep going on and on and on and on. There is a functional view of the number 7.
Well,
and it
okay,
was
but
completeness.
But was the building of the temples not literal then?
The temple is built, but you would do it in 7 stages because the number 7 has numerical significance.
But so that would mean that God in 2 Samuel 24 killed people in 7
No, it doesn't.
stages?
It does not.
So then what is it then?
First of all, in this ancient Near Eastern context, the odds of having a town of 70,000 people is insane.
Well, okay. I'll grant that it's not 70,000 people, but it's still people though, right?
Sure. I understand that. I'm just pointing out that the number 70,000
So-
first of all is just not a literal number. It's the number 70,000 is more likely than not just denoting, right?
I think he's saying for the sake of argument, it doesn't help because if it's 7,000 men, it's like whatever. And so I think
I understand. I'm just pointing to the type of work
Right.
that number's doing.
Right.
Yeah, but God still killed people who did not sin, and it implied that it's for David's sin, which seems like against everything else in the Bible that would teach about justice and like accountability.
Yeah,
I
I'm
mean,
reading through the text right now.
Like in a general sense, like everyone sins against God. It's not like there's just no innocent people walking around.
Well, yeah, but like, why wouldn't it say like God killed the people for their own sin out of that instead?
Well,
of,
he's angry.
like,
He's
implying
actually
that-
angry against Israel to start. So he does have something against Israel. It's not just David. It's interesting is like it's not stated within the chapter. But again, the anger of the Lord kindled against Israel.
Okay, I can see that, but like then you'd have to like apply the context though, because I want to see like why God would be angry at that moment. You know, like
we just don't have.
Were they doing anything in that time? Like
we don't really have it in the text. I mean, the fact that David is numbering the people, and it seems to be like he's interested in his own power, his own military success. He's interested in numbers. Maybe this is a time where they're like, hey, we're kicking butt and everything's going great in the kingdom and they're proud of themselves. But unfortunately, the text, we could wish for more, but the text just doesn't exactly say. It just says that he was angry at Israel and he incited David. And so it's like, it seems to me like he's angry. The anger is directed already at Israel. So
yeah, I'm trying to figure out if this will be fruitful or not, but you have to understand what 2 Samuel as a text is doing and who it's written to in general as well. Because remember, this is not like a drone footage of the events it's reporting on. This is later after the events, right? To a community that is dealing with I would argue post-exilic struggles. So there's like historians out there like Christine Hayes and stuff like that, and others like this, who are actually going to point out that what 2 Samuel and 1 Samuel and Chronicles, the Chronicles books are doing is they're doing something called historical philosophy. And the ancient Near Eastern corporate punishments that you see in these texts are not trying to dignify this idea that Yahweh is going to kill a bunch of people on the basis of one man's actions or anything like that. That's evidenced right away in the beginning of the text as it begins, right? Is Yahweh's already mad with Israel in the text, right? But the text is doing something in of itself, right? It's not just telling us a historical record blank on about what's happening. And so you have to take into account that ancient way of reading the text. It's not just blanket statement saying, this is what happened, right? The whole entire point is even connected to what I was saying with the war text in general, right? And so that question of why God is angry with Israel, we could sit here and exegete the text and find out. I don't remember off the top of my head. I'm not going to pretend like I know, right? But at a surface level, what we do need to acknowledge is that when we come to the Bible, we can't, because I remember you from last time, Emulsify, right? We can't come to the Bible and read it like fundamentalists.
Yeah, I'm just looking at some commentaries. Like, scholars have come up with some theories. They're really not quite sure why Yahweh is angry at his people. Most of them revolve around kind of pride in their own military might and success in some way. Yeah,
I'm trying to find, there's this scholar that probably handles this. And if you want to take the time to look through it, we can, but I'm just going to take a second. What are your thoughts on what I said though? Just right there, Emulsify.
I don't know. I'd probably have to look more into stuff, but
have you, I can recommend a book to you, if you want.
Okay.
Bloody, Brutal, and Barbaric by William Webb and Gordon Ost.
Okay.
This is one of the must-read books, I would argue, on top of the other one that I mentioned earlier, Flood and Fury by Matthew Lynch. Like, if you want to know and understand the Old Testament, especially some of the violent parts of it, you're gonna have to read some of these.
Okay, and like there's another thing that's pretty confusing to me. It's that like, about like the devil, who's like the big bad villain in like modern Christianity. He's nowhere to be found in the Old Testament to me. Like I read through it and like there is no mention of the devil anywhere. It seems more like that it's giving God credit for like the death and the suffering in most of the verses. That's what it seems to me.
Well, even in the passage that you brought to us, the Chronicles version says that Satan is the one who tempted.
Yeah.
Well, I know that, but the actual Hebrew word for it is just Satan, which just means like a judge or an accuser, which it could actually.
Are you talking about the development of Satan in general?
Well, yeah, I don't think the devil is a concept in like ancient Judaism or the Old Testament. I think it was more of like a concept made up.
Did you read Heiser like I said last time?
Oh, I forgot about that, but
okay.
So
definitely need to read Heiser. The name of Satan, such Shatan being a proper name, yeah, that is correct, right? But there is still an arch nemesis of God that we find, right? And we see this at the fall, right? There's a triple entendre happening with the Hebrew in Genesis with the serpent, right? It's the shining one. I forget all of them off the top of my head. And so, you'd be right that he's not known as Satan at that point, but that's not a problem because the figure himself, who is this arch enemy of God, who, by the way, is also kind of mixed up with a few other identities at the same time, is seen kind of throughout the whole entire Hebrew Bible. As for the 2 Samuel thing too, by the way, there's a whole entire mess of an explanation that I'm starting to see here. But this is what I'm going to recommend to you before I even attempt to give you this Emulsify. Because we've talked a few times at this point, and every single time it's here I have this problem, 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 and we just keep on going and going and going and going. And then I personally am feeling a little frustrated because every single time I've told you, hey, like you're not going to get everything solved here on a live stream, right? This is why I'm telling you, you need to go read these books, or look at these sources and these scholars if you want to understand these things on a deeper level than what somebody can give you off the top of their head in a call-in stream, right? And can you understand why I'd feel a little frustrated at the answer of I forgot when it comes to Heiser, for instance?
Yeah, because you do hard heavy lifting all day on history or something like that.
Well, also because like if you like you care enough to come up here and have a conversation with us, right? But then it's hard to feel like you actually care when I'm telling you, hey, this is a source that you need to read. This is a scholar that you need to read. And then it doesn't happen.
Well, okay. Well, I will go ahead and do that now. But like, I just genuinely didn't remember you saying that last time.
No, that's okay. I would just, going forward in the future, like when I say, hey, this is something you should do if you actually care about this, right? Then you should do it. I'm not going to tell you, I'm like, look, I hate wasting time and energy. like that is my pet peeve. Okay. If you're talking to me and you're wasting any of my fundamental resources, time, energy, money, if you're wasting those things, I get annoyed, right? I'm a man of efficiency. And so that's just me, right? Like, I don't want to waste your time. So anytime I tell you this is a source that you need to read if you want to understand this topic, understand that I really mean that. That's all.
Yeah. And one last question. If God is not a God of confusion, then why as a kid was I confused between Noah and Moses as people? I'm genuinely serious right now. Just kidding, I'm not. I'm not. But like, I had to let that one out because, come on, seriously, why did they write them both with white long beards? Isn't that like
It's a mystery, man. It's a mystery.
who led the animals on the ark? Moses. Sometimes I said that.
That's the whole problem here. That's the whole problem.
Yeah.
Hey man, I'm gonna ask you to okay. So do you have a pen on you or anything like, or a pen and paper or your phone just to make a list?
Not at the moment, but like.
Okay. Unseen Realm by Michael Heiser, must read. And then if you want to understand this book is not going to answer all your questions on war text, mind you. Okay, there's a lot of work to be done if you want to understand things on a very deep level. Okay, but a good place to start: Bloody, Brutal, and Barbaric by William J. Webb.
Okay. Yeah.
I would start there. I'm not going to give you more.
Yeah.
But that's where I would start. Because again, Emulsify, every single time we talk to, the thing that we always come back to as well is that you have your former fundamentalism working against you, right? And you seem actually really skeptical about the scholarly ways that people tend to look at the text, if that makes sense. So we need practice and repetition of actually exegeting the text properly within its context, right? I don't have a saying for this, but I'll make one up here. There is the border or the road between the fundamentalist and the Reddit atheist is very short. Is that a good saying? Do I sound like Sun Tzu there?
Oh wait, there's one more thing I wanted to ask, and that's like,
bro, I just said some cool stuff there. Like, what? You're just gonna go?
Well,
you understand what I'm saying about the road from fundamentalist to Reddit atheist? Do you understand what I'm saying there?
Yeah, it's because like they interpret the Bible the same way. They just come to different conclusions. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah. Fair enough. I would say poorly. They both do it poorly, but anyway, continue.
But so another thing is that I was also raised in more of like prosperity gospel, that kind of stuff. So I'm wondering if you could like tell me how to interpret the Old Testament passages they constantly use to show that like if you're a good boy, you'll prosper. Like if you're a good boy, you'll get all of the money in the world. You know that?
Where does the Old Testament say that?
Oh well, where God says like the blessings that Israelites will get for like obeying him.
He's talking about.
Use that as a way to like say that if you obey God, you'll get all the same blessings that the Israelites got, like similar to that, you know?
Yeah, I think you're referring to Deuteronomy 28, where it talks about the blessings of obedience, and so, yeah, I mean, it does say that. It's again, it's talking to national Israel. Go ahead, Coley.
Yeah, I mean, I got two thoughts. I think what we do see from the Israelites is that if they'll remain faithful to God, they will be blessed. Right? That's like a general theme throughout the Old Testament covenant. The new covenant in Christ is actually something different. Interestingly enough, Jesus is more like, the more you follow me, the more the world is going to hate you. Right? And I think there is maybe a general principle of like, even when we look at the Proverbs, that, yeah, like if we live a righteous life, there will be some type of blessing, but the blessing is not monetary. The blessing is going to be our relationship with God and pursuing him. But even then, like the world, Jesus tells us, is going to hate us, but that shouldn't deter us from being quote unquote blessed. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Right. And also the word blessing, right? What do you, it doesn't mean you're just going to get a bunch of nice stuff.
Right.
Yeah,
like,
but in the context of the Old Testament, it sounds like they're making it sound like those people will get wealthy. Like
that might be a part, that might be included as a possibility in the spectrum of the ways that you can be blessed, right?
But it's a blessing of the nation, right? So even within the nation, there's going to be levels of wealth, right? You're going to have poor people, you're going to have richer people, you're going to have, you know, however their economy was set up.
The same book says that the poor is going to be with you for forever, basically, in Deuteronomy 15. And so, I mean, I think, in general, if you do obey God's commandments, you're going to live a better life than if you don't. But I don't think that we want to serve God out of a, you know, he's just kind of dangling a carrot and we're just like in it only for self-interest motivations. I don't think that's biblical. So.
Yeah.
Okay, and next time if I come on, I want like Michael to be on, because like I want to talk more about like the morality of Christianity, and I think he's better suited for that job, if I'm not mistaken.
What do you mean by the morality of Christianity?
Just like some I don't know how to exactly explain it, but like modern morals that some Christians push that I know he's against, but I want to hear what his interpretation of the Bible would be for those types of things.
I gotcha. Yeah, if you're talking about like Christian nationalism or anything like stuff like that, that's
I'm talking more about like maybe just like a certain type of like purity culture. I don't know, like modesty on women, if you know what that.
Oh, I can tell you purity culture right away is the result of oh shoot, who are they? It's not the Puritans. There's a people group that they weren't necessarily Christians. It was just like from a particular era of westernized English history, and it just got incorporated into Christianity and taken up, right? So yeah, like it's just, this is the thing you got to realize when it comes to a lot of modern day Christian ideas that seem really wacky and weird. It's just people being really wacky and weird and not thinking about it, and then inheriting that really wacky and weird stuff and Christianizing it, right? And it
just like young Earth creationism.
Yeah, I would argue just like young Earth. Yep.
The real question here is like, did Jesus rise from the dead? Like that's going to be the core of it.
Yeah. I would also just kind of, again, remind you the thing that I told you we keep doing, we just did it again. Because look, I can go in here and talk to you about what the ancient Near Eastern conception of blessing really is, right? Talk about why it's fertility and increasing family and blah, 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 and all that stuff, right? But it's just not going to satisfy you. Because there's always going to be something else with you, right? And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, right? But what are we doing if every single time, right? Like, are these really the things stopping you from being a Christian, Andrew? Just like be straight with me. Because I've been a Christian and for a long time, almost 8 years now, and I was still a Christian. I had a 2-year stint of being an agnostic, so maybe 6 years of being a Christian. But for the last however many years of being a Christian, right, 6 years, I was discovering the answers to the questions you're asking, right, while I was a Christian. And so, like, I have a hard time thinking that these are all the things that are stopping you. I'm not saying like these aren't stopping you, but is there just something bigger that's happening, right? Like, what is the thing? There's always got to be something, right, that's really bothering you, rather than these tiny little things.
Well, I don't know. I just like I remember leaving Christianity when I was 14, and after that, it was mainly just because of like I think evolution. That was the main thing. But then as I went on and grew up, I just kept finding like more and more and more problems with it.
more
know,
and more
like, to me-
problems, more and more problems with the Christianity you grew up with.
Yeah, but like,
Right.
and then I have trouble like figuring out like how a different version of it could be true.
Okay.
Well,
why-
like,
go ahead.
I was just thinking
By
like
the
the
way,
evolution thing.
If I seem distracted this stream for everybody listening, my wife's gone and I'm alone with all 3 kids. Coley, you know this. Eric, you don't know this. So they're literally watching Paw Patrol in the other room, and I hear like a scream or like somebody gets punched every like 5 minutes, and I'm like,
If you need to get up, man, go check on them.
Yeah.
yeah,
Me and
I'm just
Coley
letting you
can-
know they're fine.
Yeah.
They're fine. If the fight only lasts like 10 seconds, then I'm like, okay, they're good.
You're good.
Yeah, I was
So-
just gonna say even something like evolution, it's only incompatible with like this fundamental idea of like this fundamentalist idea of Christianity. Like, I don't know what Eric holds to, but like I'm pretty sure Than, like we would both just hold to like, yeah, evolution don't have any issue being compatible with Christianity.
I don't think it's incompatible. It's not an issue I care about. But yeah. To me, it's like, what is the evidence? If I'm considering Christianity, I'm going to look at the core claim. And so I'm going
Right.
to say, did Jesus claim to be God, and did he resurrect from the dead? If there's any evidence for that, then all of these other concerns that I have are a little bit, they're secondary. And so Christians claim that there's good evidence for it. So let me investigate it. And if I investigate it thoroughly, hearing both the sides for and against, then at worst, I've spent a bunch of time learning about the most influential belief basically on the planet, maybe like next to like Islam or something. Okay. And so you've learned about a religion now that you can speak intelligently and criticize that religion intelligently, and you'll be like a good faith interlocutor kind of person, somebody who could just really have a conversation about this stuff and know what you're talking about. But what a lot of people do is they leave Christianity and then they never really know exactly if they did reject it for the most rational reasons, and they don't really have the ability to really steel man the best arguments for Christianity and then say why those arguments don't work. And so yeah, and so I would recommend, like, at the worst thing that you could do is just spend a bunch of time learning about, like I said, one of the most influential beliefs on the planet. And I'm not saying you didn't learn anything because you were in church, but I'm at the same time, like, you're not going to learn the historical reasons that people are giving for this stuff, right? You're not going to learn that there. And so learn the case against it. And if you still reject it, at least you can have a conversation as to why. I'm not saying like your objection with the whole David thing isn't an interesting one. I think that is actually a pretty interesting like objection against moral atrocity and that's in the Old Testament. It's interesting, right? Some of this other stuff, like, well, what about prosperity gospel this, or what about that? I mean, those are just like, well, who cares? Like, if Jesus rose from the dead and you don't believe that, then just go to a different church that you know what I'm saying? And so I would investigate the core claims of Christianity first, and then go back and revisit, other things like, what about this, that, or the other Old Testament kind of thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
And so anyway,
Yeah, man. I appreciate you, man. Seriously. Sorry if I'm going dad mode on you with some of the stuff I said, but I think it's something that you need to hear too. Right.
Yeah. Well, bye, buddies.
All right. I'll catch you later, man.
See you, man.
Hey, I'm not your buddy, pal.
Oh, so you're gonna go on? Okay, let's argue that then. So, like, okay,
Nah, we got to get some other people on. I'll catch you later, bro. Okay.
okay.
He's a good guy. It's just
What do you think his name is, Stan?
Andrew.
No, his little tag name.
Emulsify.
Is it not Emolosophy?
Oh,
it's Emolosophy because he's emo.
That
Did you see his
dude.
profile pic? He's super emo. Not that there's anything wrong with
Yeah.
that.
No,
I'm just
but I
saying
thought
he's
it was
just that's what
Emolosophy.
he's drawing attention to. Yeah.
Yeah, being emo.
You can be emo if you want to be emo. That's
I
fine.
can't believe I missed that.
I just noticed that. You
That's
kept
wild.
calling me emulsify. I was like, but it's like you had conversations with him before, so I was like, maybe he corrected you. And that's
No,
what
he
did.
never corrected me.
Oh man, that's
Dude,
rough. That's rough.
anybody, if I ever mispronounce your name or anything like that, you need to correct me, okay?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
please, don't be that guy.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to our next caller, Dubito. What's going on?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Why are you not a Christian?
Well, I believe in God. I guess you could say I'm sort of a deist. But yeah, I mean, I don't find the truth claims of either the Old Testament or the New Testament to be credible. I think there's a lot of good morality taught in them, especially the New Testament. In the Old Testament, I see a bit more of a mixed bag in terms of morality. So how I see the scriptures is as like it's a record of the culture of the people of Israel as they strive towards understanding the world around them.
Okay.
But I don't necessarily see it as divine revelation. Maybe it's more of like people trying to understand the divine.
What about the New Testament do you reject as for terms of like the main claims? Like I was mentioning it with the previous caller, Jesus, did he claim to be God? Did he resurrect from the dead? Like what do you make of those claims?
As far as the like the gospels that we have, I think it's pretty clear. It claims Jesus resurrected from the dead. I think most probably it claims that he's God. I'm not 100% sure, but there's strong evidence for that.
Okay.
But it's basically just an extraordinary claim, and I don't think some manuscripts from 100 years after his time, and then just in the ancient world, I don't see that as strong enough evidence to believe the claims that they make, whether or not they do make the claims.
Sure. No, I understand that. And so we want to evaluate any claim because there's only going to be three explanations, right? Either somebody's lying or exaggerating, or somebody is honestly mistaken about, what actually happened, what they claim to have witnessed, or what they witnessed is true, and they're telling the truth about that. And so, what do you think about the Gospels? Do you think that they're like exaggerations, fabrications, a mix of truth and a mix of like legends and different things like that, especially maybe when it comes to like miracles or things like that?
Yeah. Before I answer that, have any of you seen Dr. Justin Sledge's channel, Esoterica?
Yeah.
Little bits, yeah. I haven't watched a lot of it. Yeah, I'm familiar with the channel.
But
yeah, so he's got some videos out about like his interpretation of the life of Jesus, and I would say that most closely aligns with what I think is most probable. But basically, like as far as miracle working and stuff, that's the culture that they were in. There's a lot of people around that time who were famous for being miracle workers.
Sure. There's people today that are
so
famous
I see a lot of that as. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say there's people today that have a claim to fame to miracles, supposedly. And so do you think that is just like a product of their culture, but we don't see that today? Is that like an objection to, like, even if we could grant that the New Testament is providing historically reliable data, just the fact that it has miracle claims, is that something that you would say is like the tough pill to swallow?
I think so, yeah. Okay. I mean, I don't think that the New Testament is best classified as fiction, right?
No,
it's
I don't.
Clearly some sort of some sort of biographical account at its core.
Mm-hmm.
But it's how are the authors seeing the world, and are they writing contemporary with the events that happen, or has the telephone game gone on and claims have been exaggerated? Maybe it's what I'm seeing is like a very fuzzy picture, and in order for me to believe in something, I would want something more clear than that.
Gotcha. And so I could go two different ways with this, and I feel really bad because I invited myself on, and like maybe Coley should. I'm sorry. I automatically just jumped to New Testament in my brain. So
yeah, well, I know. Coley
Anyways,
is also, you know, he has that jawline and that hair. Well, he's
Dude,
hiding the hair.
dude, he's got the looks maxing going for sure. So, so there's two different ways I could go with this, right? You admitted that the idea of like miracles, they lived in a kind of maybe a more gullible culture, that they thought that these kind of things happened, and there was lots of people that claimed that these are abilities that they had or whatever. And so I could talk about claims for miracles happening today in a Christian context, and I think that that might possibly give you at least more credence into saying, okay, well, if these accounts happen today, then maybe I can look at the testimonies 2,000 years ago and not just throw them out because they have these strange claims. I know when I was an atheist, this was my biggest problem. I would read through the Gospels and I would look at the teaching of Jesus, and I'm like, this guy's like a really interesting teacher, and I like the morals that he teaches. But when he's, you know, healing the centurion servant with a word, you know, I'm not going to get on board with that. That's somebody made that up. Okay, that was my understanding of the Gospels. Just to tell you a little bit of my background, and so I can get into some claims of some modern miracles that I think are like very well evidenced, and maybe that will help you maybe take a look at the Gospels with a fresh set of eyes. But we could also talk about textual arguments too, where I think that the Gospels are not just like later legends. I think that they're written by people who are either witnesses themselves or have access to eyewitnesses, and that the claims that they make in these accounts are something that they couldn't easily be mistaken about and are unlikely to be lying about, and that there's just a torrent of evidence that they're honest people who are very close up to the facts and who are extremely knowledgeable about the context and surroundings. And so I think the best explanation is that, like, hey, these guys are telling the truth and we should take it what they're saying at face value. And so I could go either way, whatever you think would be like most helpful for you in the way that you think. But yeah, I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, maybe the textual
path. Okay, sure. Yeah, we can definitely do that. And so let me see where to start. Have you, well, yeah, there's a number of different places I could go. Let's start here. I'm gonna share my screen, Than, real quick.
Sounds good.
Sharing is caring.
There you
All
go.
right. Let's see. Where do I want to start? Well, let's look at the Book of Acts. Okay. I don't know. I'm just a glutton for the Book of Acts. Okay. And so the Book of Acts is written by the same person who wrote Luke's Gospel, who gives us some pretty juicy details about Jesus saying, hey, you know, touch me and see, a ghost doesn't have flesh and bones like I do. And there's group appearances and all that other kind of stuff. Not only that, but we are pretty confident that Luke used Mark as a source. And Luke claims to be a traveling companion of Paul. When Paul is in Jerusalem, in Acts chapter 21, it says that James, Jesus' brother, and all the elders were present. So if Luke really did travel with Paul, he would have had access to the witnesses. He also would have been able to get Paul's very own testimony. And if you think about Paul's testimony in the Book of Acts, in his letters, he just tells us kind of like, hey, I converted and I saw Jesus. But in the Book of Acts, we get details about what the conversion experience was like, which was multi-sensory kind of details. I mean, like he goes blind. He has to be healed by a guy named Ananias. He hears a voice. His companions see the light. I understand that's not the same thing as physical details, but Acts is smart enough to differentiate that. Okay, that it's a different, because Jesus had ascended to heaven. But anyways, the point is if Acts is written by somebody who shows themselves to be like extremely knowledgeable, highly reliable, close up to the facts, then, like I said, that gives us some credence. And so I could start just with an example of how Acts interweaves with what we know from history outside of the Bible. And I can show how this shows that, like, the author, like I said, he's knowledgeable. He's probably getting his information from Paul. And so Acts 13:7, there's a guy named Sergius Paulus, who is called a proconsul. And basically Paul is preaching to him. And there's this guy named Elymas, the sorcerer, who opposed them, and he was seeking to turn him away from the faith. And then Paul filled with the Spirit, and this is kind of a funny miracle, looked intently at him and said, "You son of the devil, you enemy of all righteousness, full of deceit and villainy, will you not stop making crooked the straight paths of the Lord? And behold, the hand of the Lord is upon you." And the guy goes blind, you know. And so as an apologist, sometimes I'm like, I feel like I'm in the Star Wars movie where he's talking to Palpatine. He's like, "Is there any way I can learn this power?" But anyways, that's a terrible joke. I'm sorry. I'm not going to strike you blind. Don't worry. But anyways, he's called a proconsul. That's the main point. What's interesting about this is Cyprus actually became a senatorial province in 22 BC, and senatorial provinces were governed by proconsuls. Now, we actually have a note of this administrative change in Cassius Dio in his Roman history. Okay, so Luke actually gets the local political title correct. Now, the reason why this is kind of a big deal is that he could have just easily used the wrong title, such as legate or prefect, or he could have just kept it generic. And that would be especially easy if Acts was written later after these provincial arrangements had shifted. But Acts actually uses the right title for Cyprus and this official at the time of Paul's visit. Moreover, we have a Greek inscription, and you can just look this up. I won't put it on the screen, but because I'd have to close it and then open a tab, unfortunately. But there's a Greek inscription from Soli in Cyprus, which actually mentions the proconsul Paulus. Now, it may not be the same guy in Acts chapter 13, but it shows that Paulus did have a connection with Cyprus. And what's really interesting is there's another inscription in Pisidian Antioch, which mentions an L. Sergius Paulus the Younger. Okay. And so this may be a relative of Sergius Paulus in Acts. We don't know that for sure. I'm kind of inferring that. But what's interesting is that after the Cyprus episode, Paul and Barnabas, where do they go next? They go to Pisidian Antioch. Okay. So that's kind of suggestive. Like, think about this. This guy just saw this amazing miracle. He embraced the faith. And what do you think he's going to do? Of course, it would make sense that he's going to send Paul and his traveling companion to go and preach to his family, right? And so what's interesting is that there's a miracle that takes place in all of this. It's just kind of lodged right in the story. But anyways, this looks a little bit more like history than real facts. Now, if this was just like one thing, you'd be like, well, yeah, well, big whoop-de-doo. Like, who cares? Like, anybody can maybe get like one of these things right. But the fact is that all throughout the book of Acts, there are multiple facts, small details, tiny details that you couldn't just like look up using Google or ChatGPT or Wikipedia, right? And so he gets dozens and dozens of these facts right all throughout the book of Acts from chapter 13 to 28. Colin Hemmer, a classical historian, has a book called The Book of Acts and Setting of Hellenistic History, where he documents 84 of these different facts that Luke gets right. That, again, they're not easy things that you could just look up. Let me give you just one more example, and then I'll just ask you for your feedback. I can go into dozens and dozens of these, but we'll just go right to the next chapter, okay? And so, yeah, here we go. This is Acts chapter 14, and it talks about this story where there's a crippled man in Lystra. He was born that way. He was crippled from birth. He never walked. He listened to Paul speaking, and Paul looked intently at him, and seeing that he had faith to be made well, said in a loud voice, "Stand upright on your feet." The man sprang up and began walking. And when the crowd saw what Paul had done, they lifted their voices, saying in Lycaonian, "The gods have come down to us in the likeness of men." Barnabas they called Zeus, and Paul Hermes, because he was the chief speaker. Okay, so what's interesting about this is something, again, that Hemmer points out in his book. The healing of the cripple of Lystra, it says that the crowd reacts, the gods come down to us in the likeness of men, and they shouted this in Lycaonian because the native language use of Lycaonian was actually very unusual in Paul's Hellenized mission world. But Lystra was in a less developed part of Anatolia where the local language actually survived. And we have like archaeological evidence and different inscriptions and different things like that that show us that that particular language is something that survived in that particular region. And what's also interesting about this is that when they call Paul Hermes and Barnabas Zeus, that also fits the local religious background. We have Ovid's Metamorphoses, which tells us of an Anatolian story where Zeus and Hermes visit as disguised as men. We also have, again, things from archaeology that show that these were actually the patron gods of this particular area in the region. And this also fits with their belief that, like, Paul was the chief speaker, so he was Hermes. Zeus was the greater god, and so he had like a herald that would do all the talking for him. Okay, and so again, these are just a little realistic details that fit exactly with the region in where they're supposedly at. And again, like the author, he's not parading these things. He's not like, wow, look at all these things that I know. If you think about the book of Acts and you think about Luke, it's dedicated to a certain man named Theophilus, right? It's not as if like we could imagine like Theophilus is just like, he's this, globe traveling Greek guy who's been to all these places and can check out all these facts himself, right? And be impressed by them and go, wow, must be real history. But it's just these casual mentions that just actually fit with what we know with and are able to confirm with history outside of the Bible, that again, these guys just couldn't look up. Even if they did have access to libraries, they wouldn't have all of these kind of facts. And it's not like they could just pull out a card catalog and go, ooh, okay, the Dewey Decimal System says pull out this book and this book and this book. And no, they, when they had binded books with tables of contents and all this other stuff, they had scrolls. Like research would be really hard and laborious, right? And so, yeah, anyways, like I said, there are 84 of these. I just gave you 3. So what are your initial thoughts on that?
Sure. And I mean, what that tells me is that they're living in approximately the same time period and location as they're claiming, right?
Mhm.
They have access to these details. I mean, my first impression is thinking of someone like Mark Twain writing Tom Sawyer, Huckleberry Finn. He's going to get these same kinds of details right with wherever that takes place, the Mississippi River and stuff, and
Mhm.
the dialect they speak in there, and other things like that. So it's strong evidence that the author is contemporaneous, and I don't know, like the same word for like location.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I like what you
get
brought up.
that, but
Yeah. I like what you brought up with like Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn. So first of all, modern realistic fiction wasn't a genre that was invented until like the hundreds and hundreds of years later. Okay. And we know what kind of books those are because they purport to be that. But if you read the prologue of Luke's gospel, he doesn't say that he's writing like a fictionary book like Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn or whatever.
Sure.
He's saying, inasmuch as many have undertaken to compile a narrative of things that have been accomplished among us, just as from the beginning, where eyewitnesses and ministers of the word have delivered to us, it seemed good to us, to me also, having followed all things closely for some time past, to write an orderly account for you. So, I mean, he's definitely clearly purporting to write history. And what's neat is we actually have a test case to compare these gospels to, like or say Acts, right? We have like the Acts of Paul and Thecla, right? We have the Acts of Thomas, where supposedly he goes to India. They don't have these rich details, and maybe Thomas really did go to India, and that's a tradition that it's based on. But when you look at these accounts, you're not going to find 84 confirmations that we could test from externally through history or anything else like that, right? Same with Acts of Paul and Thecla. Like it's not about that. They're like opaque. They're very purple. They don't read like sober history like these accounts do. And again, that's kind of why I asked about the miracles, because for me it was like, well, these seem to be like reportage, but just miracles, that's just kind of like a bridge I can't cross at that particular point in my life. And so that's kind of why I started off there. And so I think that your pushback is totally reasonable, and it's like a super common objection. But again, that's just not a literary genre that was invented until a long time later, and that's not the kind of genre that these narratives purport to be.
yeah, I mean, I'm not necessarily saying that they're sitting down with the intention of writing fiction or of misleading their audience, but that also doesn't necessarily mean that it's 100% accurate.
Well, we're not
in all the details.
Yeah, and I'm not arguing that it's 100% accurate, but I think what it's showing enough of is that where we can check, they show themselves to be knowledgeable, they show themselves to be close up to the facts, and they show themselves to be truthful, right? And so it's an argument of like, what kind of a person is writing this book? If somebody is constantly telling me the truth, if they constantly show themselves to be knowledgeable, if they constantly are showing themselves to be somebody who's like present when certain events are happening and they're giving me that information, then sure, I might not say, well, I'm going to just take that every word that you say is word for word inspired, 100% accurate, but I am going to say probabilistically that they're telling me the truth, that they're not lying and they're not mistaken, right? And when you look at even like the miracles that I just gave in the narratives, forget like the resurrection for just a moment, like somebody who's a cripple from birth, or somebody who's like suddenly seeing and trying to turn you away from the faith is suddenly struck blind. Those are very difficult things to be mistaken about. And so it would be like, like you'd have to say, well, this guy's super duper honest all the time, but when he really wants to like pull the wool over your eyes and give you some propaganda, that's what he does. But again, I mean, that doesn't make sense of Luke. If he really is a traveling companion of Paul, he is undergoing the same labors and dangers and sufferings and all kinds of risk to spread this particular message himself. I mean, he undergoes a shipwreck, which is kind of an interesting thing. Let me give you another example real quick. This is in Acts 27:16. It says in Acts 27:13 through 14, Paul is a prisoner. He's being sent to Rome for his faith, basically. He initially gets in trouble because they think that he brings Gentiles into the temple in Jerusalem. He gets called onto the carpet. He goes before the high priest. Then he ends up going before Felix and Agrippa, and he ends up appealing to Caesar about his case because the Jews are just saying that he's a troublemaker and all of this stuff. So he's undergoing these sufferings, right? And it says that Paul's ship sailed along Crete and then was hit by a storm called a northeaster. Acts 27:9 places the voyage after the Day of Atonement, which is a dangerous fall sailing season, and that fits the seasonal winds known around Crete. And then Acts 27:16 says that the ship was driven toward a small island called Cauda, right? Okay, so what's interesting about this is that is exactly the direction a northeaster would push the ship from the south coast of Crete. But what's really interesting about Cauda is that it was over 20 miles southwest of the likely storm location near the Bay of Massara. And this isn't an obvious guess. Hemmer says that in the places where we can compare, Luke fares much better than the Encyclopedia's Pliny, who might be regarded as the foremost first century example of such a source. And then he says Pliny places Cauda opposite of Herapitna 90 miles too far east, so he gets it way wrong. And then you have Ptolemy, who's like the cartographer, the maps guy at the time. He offers a reckoning of latitude and longitude. Again, I'm quoting Hemmer, but he makes a serious dislocation to the northwest, putting Cauda too near the western end of Crete in a position that would not suit the unsteady narrative of our text. And so what this means is that this is the voyage narrative. It's using the weed language. And he's saying that he's traveling with Paul. And out of all the historians that we have in the first century, the only person who actually gets this very small island outside of Crete correct is Luke. He's showing precise nautical and geographical detail, which suggests eyewitness knowledge. Okay. And so again, this is a guy who's willing to suffer for this narrative. It makes it hard for me to think that like he's just trying to snow people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I don't really see any evidence that the authors are intentionally trying to mislead people either. I guess that's the main thing is that it's
then, like, what do you think Luke is doing then? Like, I'm curious. What do you think his perception is? Do you think he just thinks that he's witnessing miraculous things that aren't, or?
Possibly. I mean, to be totally frank, I don't know. I mean, it's obviously they saw something, they cared a lot about it to put the time and expense to write it down, especially back then.
Yeah, 100%.
So I do think the authors believe whatever they're seeing, for sure. Okay. Whether or not they're, how do I say it? Whether or not their beliefs are accurate, I don't know how to cross that boundary. I see evidence that they're in the place, they're at the time, but people believe crazy things, man. Yeah,
I was gonna say, real quick, because it based off what you're saying, what Eric's all saying, and what you're agreeing with so far, right? Let's try to zero in really quickly, just so I can get a feel for where you're at. I would argue probably around 21 unique testimonies in the New Testament regarding the alleged resurrected Christ. And that's not me counting the appearance of the 500 or anything like that, right? And with those 21, we have when, like, for the most part, when it happened, where it happened, who was around. We have details, whether or not, like, you saw that, like, he was seen, touched, heard, spoken to, whether you ate with him. All these really, unique details in these testimonies occur across the span of like 40 days, over multiple different instances. Um, if you're willing to accept that many people testified to this and they're being truthful about their testimony, the question that's going to end up like being fundamentally the most important question here is, well, what's the explanation of that testimony, right? For us, the Christians, we're going to say, well, the best explanation of that, all that testimony and all that data is going to be that Jesus rose from the dead.
Sure, I understand.
Yeah.
And I could even agree that with the evidence that we have now, I know like Mike IP likes to say that the most parsimonious explanation, right? Simplest, and it explains all the data, fewest leaps. It's just I don't have access to that location in that time period. I can never be one of those eyewitnesses, and
Yeah.
I'll never have
Okay.
access to the same data that they'll have. So
I'm going to give a really raunchy counterexample to this, but it's raunchy because it's you have to feel this to understand why this is I would argue a bad objection, right? Were you a witness to your parents doing the forbidden dance?
no,
You always have.
What, Eric? What?
sure.
All I can think of is when you're like, "Hey, Dean, do you poop?" Sorry.
The poop dilemma. No, you weren't there, right?
Yeah,
And
but
the
in that
odds,
case, I'm closer to the witnesses. You know what I mean? Like I have more reason to trust my parents, my grandparents, my extended
Well-
family.
well, why?
Yeah, why?
Because we've just gone over all of these data points that Eric was talking about for why the psychological profile and the type of author that produced the text in question, the Gospels, right? They're close to the facts in terms of time and place. They're trying to be truthful. They don't feel the freedom to make up or change facts, right? For all intents and purposes, we have a really honest psychological profile for these people, and there's way more evidence for it than just what Eric produced, right? Yeah, you have access to be able to, talk to your parents and all this other stuff, right? But on the basis of testimony alone, you believe that your parents did the forbidden dance and that you were not adopted, right?
Mhm.
And the odds of you being your parents' son specifically are incredibly low, right? Like there's been septillion people that have lived, right? Divide that in half, whatever that number is. And the odds that any of those couples out there would have been your parents is just astronomically low, right? So the question is like, well, you just have testimony and you have the actions of your parents, sure. But the basic idea is like, you're believing in that testimony over here, but not over here. Help me understand what's happening there.
Sure. Well, first with the counter example, I mean, there are people who have been adopted, and their adopted parents have lied to them about that fact.
True.
So, yeah, if I'm being honest, I have to acknowledge it's a possibility that I'm mistaken. I'd say I have more confidence in this than I do in the gospel accounts.
Yeah, and
Um,
would it just be like, would it just be because the resurrection is a miraculous claim, and being born from
It's
a
that's
specific
part
set
of it.
What else would it be then?
Yeah, like you said, for the resurrection, it's a miraculous claim versus a much more mundane claim. You know, children are born every day. People don't rise from the dead every day. So that on its own, I think, merits stronger scrutiny.
Okay.
And then the other thing is proximity to the events themselves, proximity to the eyewitnesses. Just 2,000 years is a heck of a lot of time for things to happen. I can't even list out all the things that could have happened, but
Well, yeah,
It was
a lot of
there's
things.
just so much uncertainty with that time period.
Well, the thing is, we do have like variants in the manuscript traditions, for instance, right? But the fact that we have variants in manuscript traditions are actually going to help us be more confident in what was probably originally said, because now that we have variants, we can actually we know what it looks like when when
Sure.
when a scribal change happens, right? And we can test against that. That's our control.
But if I'm not mistaken, the earliest manuscripts we have are fragmentary from like early 2nd century or something. I'm not an expert on this,
Yeah,
but
I don't know. I don't remember off the top of my head. Do you, Eric?
That's
No,
pretty
he's
accurate.
he's pretty accurate. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but the main point I'm trying to make here is we know more than likely what would have happened, right? What we know, like, I don't know a single scholar out there that's going to actually say, like, even Ehrman, if I remember correctly, has agreed with other scholars that you can reconstruct what the originals are, just even based off of the early church. And so the proximity in terms of chronology to the testimony, I understand like why you would have an intuitive issue with that. But then I would actually argue that it's probably just going to be counterintuitive, right? Because what we're asking is not a question of whether or not you're convinced, right? Like your ability to be convinced of something isn't going to be a good measure of how forceful the evidence actually is. Does that make sense? What I'm trying to say there?
yeah, that makes sense.
So we need a principled way of like judging the force of the evidence, right? Because at the end of the day, just kind of going, well, I wasn't there, so I can't make an assessment. If that's the way we do, if that's the way we do, if that's the way how, like we form our beliefs, we're going to be in trouble for a lot of the beliefs that we have, right?
No, I gotcha. But the main thing for me is the magnitude of the claim, where it's like if I had a text with similar eyewitness accounts and it's saying something much more mundane, or it's like, oh, this person, well, we have accounts like this, like this person stabbed Julius Caesar and became the next emperor of Rome and stuff. And
no, I totally get
it. It's just
this
the
is also,
extent of the claim makes it just more difficult, you know.
You know, I mean, I just say like Eric is only honing in on one little thing, right? Like I think the magnitude of the claim is big. And so we can go back in the Old Testament and we can look at these predictions that these Israelite prophets were making about this person coming. Then we can look at the 1st century. We can see what the disciples said. We can look at the book of Acts. We can see how things are playing out. And then we can kind of look ahead and go, well, if there is a one true religion that's connecting people to God, what would it actually look like when people are walking in it? And is this like, so there are a lot of elements, like, you know, I'll give just one Old Testament thing, for example, like Daniel 9 is it's really hard to not see that he's predicting that the Messiah is going to be cut off and the temple is going to be destroyed in the 1st century. And you know, you can debate about Jesus, but the temple was destroyed. So if the temple was destroyed, why are we rejecting the idea that this messianic figure that seemed to make it and is now considered the Messiah by billions of people was also not cut off? Like, and obviously you can look into all these different things, but I think, I was just agreeing with your point that it is a big claim. And so there's a huge case to then look at of the past, the time that it occurred, and the result of it, if that makes sense.
Something I just want to address really quickly too, and I don't know if you're actually thinking this way. This is just a common way I hear skeptics of the resurrection kind of reason, right? Is more on the basis of statistical frequency, right? Because you even said sort of like, you know, people are born every day, but people don't get raised from the dead every day, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not going to get too dorky with probability theory here right now, but on a cursory level, right? There are different types of probability, right? There's statistical probability, which is the thing you're thinking about, but then there's other types of probability like physical probability, epistemic probability, and all this other stuff. And so when we're talking about the resurrection, the domain that should be in is epistemic probability, because statistical probability is not going to be the type of probability that's always going to be indicative of what our beliefs are going to be about, if that makes sense, right? Like,
Could you quickly just tell me what epistemic probability means? I'm not familiar with that term.
Yeah, there is a little bit of a debate there between philosophers, just to be clear. But what I take, not in terms of like whether or not it's a thing, but just how we want to cash that out, right? I take the view that epistemic probability is just a measurement of how much one proposition probabilistically supports another, and we can kind of just cash it out there, and at least to keep it bird's eye view. Does that make sense?
I think
So like for instance, if let's just say Eric walked into my room and it smelled really bad, right? And then I'm gonna have two theories. I farted, Eric farted, right? And then one piece of evidence is gonna be, well, I don't feel like I farted. And second piece of evidence is gonna be, well, it started smelling as soon as he walked in, right?
I'm gonna blame you for the fart, dude.
Right. But then now, and those are two pieces of evidence, right? But then also consider this. I'm introducing a new concept here called background knowledge, right? I know in the back of my mind, I have previous experiences with Eric, and he just farts a lot.
For the record, I'm not really that gassy.
Do I need to bring? Never mind.
I will bring my wife as a witness. Right?
Right. So, given what I already know about Eric and these two facts, it seems much more epistemically probable, right, that Eric farted, and that's why my room smells when he walks in. Right. Like that's just a case example of epistemic probability.
And how does that differ from what was the first one? Statistical probability?
Yeah, statistical probability, because statistical probability is only looking at probability strictly in terms of frequency of events within a particular reference class given a sample size, right? But the thing is, if we only judged the probability of a theory based off of only statistical probability, right? Well, let's put it this way. You would have massive problems with actually being able to figure out a bunch of different things. Like if I want to figure out the odds that I'm going to get cancer, right? Well, human is the reference class, for instance, there. But then, like, there's so much more to me that tells me whether or not I'm going to get cancer, right? I used to be a firefighter, so I was exposed to chemicals. I have a family history of cancer. I actually had cancer at one point in the last few years and had to get that removed. And so on and so forth, right? And you could also add in that I'm Greek and yada, yada, yada. And next thing you know, you have like a sample size that's getting whittled down all the way from this broad category of human to sooner or later me. And the sample size is just one, right? But in terms of statistics, when the sample size is one, you can only have a probability of 0% or 100%. So counterintuitively, right, you get more data, but you get further away from the actual probability that you're trying to seek. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so the point I'm trying to make here is statistical probability is not the only thing we should be thinking about. You probably even believe in abiogenesis, right? Origin of life stuff.
I don't know anything about that. I mean,
okay,
when we were talking about like, the truth claims of the resurrection, that's it, like way more probable than anything like 2 billion years ago or whatever. So I don't know.
Well, no. I'm using abiogenesis as just another example, right? Because abiogenesis is the leading theory for origin of life. That's all it is, right? So
sure,
life arose from non-life at some point in the past, and I'm not disputing that as a theory, mind you. But if we take the statistical probability approach to things, right? Think about it this way. Well, the amount of times I've observed life arise from life is how much? Like a lot, right? All throughout history, like we don't have a single example of life arising from non-life, right? You might just say it's like in probability, you can say delta for like just a crazy value that you can't even enumerate, right? So it's like a 1 in delta odds that life will arise from non-life. It just purely on statistics, right? But our leading theory of life is that life originated from non-life at some point in the past, right?
Okay. So yeah, I get your point. So
Yeah. So when it comes to the resurrection, just going, yeah, dead people stay dead typically, it's not going to be the thing that actually tells us that, like, the prior probability prior to like looking at the evidence for the resurrection is going to be so low that the resurrection evidence wouldn't take care of it, right? Because also Eric and I would probably, and Coley, we would also add in the fact that there's modern day miracles happening in Jesus' name, right? That are strongly
Amen, brother
evidenced.
Than.
Say what?
I said, "Amen, brother Than."
Yeah. So you add that stuff into the question too, because it's going to be like, okay, well, if Jesus died and stayed dead, what are the odds that I would see miracles happening that are done in Jesus' name in Christian contexts that are strongly evidenced, right? And I know that you would dispute that those are there, but if you're willing to entertain the idea that we have cases, which we do, that are strong, what would that add to this question?
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I appreciate you guys walking through it. It's yeah, you've pushed the probability for me more in the direction, but it's just one of those things where I feel like you have to feel it in your gut. If I'm gonna like go to church and profess faith and all
I'm
that
glad you
stuff.
said that. Go to church. DeVito, here's the thing, and I hope you hear this, where my heart's at with when I say this, okay? You do not you don't change your beliefs on the basis of rationality alone. Nobody operates that way.
Yeah.
Right? And so anybody that's gonna sit there and go, I'm not gonna I need to feel it in my gut before I even like begin to entertain becoming a Christian or anything like that. Maybe God will do a miracle, right? But I would also say the way we're wired, and I would say the way we are created, right, is that we are embodied creatures that operate in community, and that spirituality and religion happens in an embodied way, which means like your belief formation happens through action, through community, through religious practice, through tons of different things, including reason. You don't have to be a Christian to go to church. I would say find a local church if you're willing to, and just go and hang out there. Like, in my experience, people will welcome you with open arms, and they'll just be happy you're there.
As I said earlier, like when I became a Christian, I was just reading the Bible, and I didn't, I liked the moral teaching of Jesus, but my hang up was on miracles too, so I kind of get that.
Yeah.
But just continuing to read the Bible with an open heart and just even praying, like, God, if you're out there, reveal yourself
Yeah.
to me. I'm not saying everybody's going to have like this overpowering mystical experience. In my case, like I did have like what I would say is like a spiritual experience, a religious experience. I didn't have a car. I was just a kid. I was 17, and just was too broke to afford a car at the moment. Otherwise, I would have went to church. But I think Dan's 100% right. Like, go to church, study this stuff with your mind, read as much as you can on the topic, for and against. Maybe hear the best case for Christianity first, and then try to poke holes in it. But at the same time, maybe just sit down and read the Bible. Maybe even try praying. Go to church just to see what it's like, and keep going. And I think if we all believe what Jesus said, seek and you will find. And so, of course, we're going to encourage that.
Yeah, and what Eric just said is part of my experience too. I wasn't a Christian all my life. I became a Christian in my early 20s. And part of me becoming a Christian, maybe part of me becoming a Christian, it's part of me being introduced to Christianity, at least, right? Is I was a firefighter, and I still deal with this a little bit, but the long story short is like, I have a distinct memory of my ex-girlfriend's dad. I came to their house after a shift. It was a mass casualty incident. There was dead children involved, and I was just like a wreck, right? After this call. And I just remember her dad, who's a Christian, I'm an atheist, giving me a Bible and just saying like, dude, like you need to just read this if you're going to be dealing with this stuff, right? And I'm just gonna be blunt with you here, dude, bro. Like, okay, if your girlfriend's dad tells you to read the Bible, you're gonna do it, right? Just to keep him happy. But like, in my head, I didn't believe anything was useful poetry, right? And that was my introduction to the Bible, and that's what I went to it for. That's what it was in my mind as I was doing it. But in retrospect, now I think, man, God was already speaking to me during this process of like 2 years of me being like, I don't believe this.
Yeah, I went months myself, so not 2 years. So, but yeah, definitely, it was just something I kept reading and reading, and I just was like, you know, I was torn because I was like, oh, that's cool. I don't know about that, but you know, I just tried to remain open, and that's a good thing. The fact that you're calling in, and asking the right questions shows that there's an openness, and that's awesome. So
yeah, Devito, if you need to pretend that I'm like your girlfriend's dad, then you need to keep him happy. Go read your Bible and go to church.
I appreciate it, guys. I really do want to believe. Honestly, I mean, I wouldn't have called in otherwise. I think people probably only call in if they really like are interested in it or really like want to tear you guys down or something. Probably not much in the middle.
Yeah.
But
Can I give you one last encouragement? I mentioned this with the other guy. And so Than and I volunteer for a just a collective. It's called Talk About Doubts. You can go to talkaboutdoubts.com, and we talk to people who've left the faith but maybe weren't sure, like they left the faith for good reasons, or people who aren't Christians but are you know, honest seekers like yourself, or just Christians who have maybe doubts. Maybe they've heard some lectures from Bart Ehrman or something and are like troubled by it and they don't know how to answer it. And so anyways, but yeah, it's totally free. It's 100% free. We're not like the Dawa guys. We're not going to charge you $50 an hour like some of these dorks do. And so, but we have all kinds of counselors, people from that have PhDs in philosophy, people that know, you know, science, history, everything that you could basically imagine that's related to Christian truth claims and any of those disciplines, and dorks like me who just learn this stuff on their own, or Than, I guess. But Than's publishing academic papers and all kinds of stuff. He's ahead of me on that.
I was gonna say,
but anyways, yeah. But we do two to one or one-on-one Zoom calls, and we can do multiple calls, and when we have a Discord group and everything else, and so. We can put more resources in your hands in those calls. We can have multiple conversations, and just you can talk to us about whatever, and we can try and walk you through it. And so no pressure, obviously, but it's just a resource that's available. And I've seen a lot of people like really helped by it, and just lots of good testimonies that have come through it. And I guess we're endorsed by Mike Winger and Sean McDowell, so that makes us kind of cool too.
Makes us nerds
or like dorks, I don't know, but either way, check it out. Again, it's totally free. Just fill out a form. Talkaboutdoubts.com. So,
all right, thanks. Because I'd like to get into some Old Testament stuff at some point too, but obviously not today.
Yeah. No, you're good, man. I got to go get some Culvers for my kids here soon. So,
all right, well, appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Later, man. Appreciate you. All right. All right, guys, let's go through some super chats and call it a night. Than, please set your name header as Grand Regent Than in some future stream. I'll do it right now for you. A lot of you have been saying this, and I'm not going to lie. It's making me feel myself a bit. So, also, wait, I don't know about Eric or Coley. Have you guys watched Invincible?
Absolutely.
It's been a while, but
dude, I got super excited because I'm starting to get gray hair only in these areas. I'm not even kidding, bro. I'm getting gray hair only in these areas.
Yeah.
It creeps up, buddy. Why do you think I wear the hat all the time?
No, I don't really care. I'm gonna own it. Especially if it stays in these areas. I'm gonna just go with the Omni-Man style, man.
Yeah.
I actually got really excited. I told my wife that what I'm gonna do, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, you look so good." So, Is it worth refuting unapologetic channels stream? I don't know what this is referring to.
I don't know what unapologetic.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like saying like a general sense. Is it worth, or is there like a person unapologetic?
Is this a
Yeah, I
channel?
don't
I'll
know.
look it up real quick.
While you do that, I'll keep going. Do you have any go-to
Yeah.
references covering modern day miracles? The ones I heard through your shorts seem really solid and would love to read more. I don't have any go-to references on this. Our friend Caleb, Eric, you're frozen.
Am I? Oh man.
Oh no, never mind. You were just
He was
staying
just being real still.
dude. That was crazy. Our friend Caleb is writing a book on miracles. But it's gonna take a while to probably till that comes out. Eric and I have covered miracle claims so much in the past. But basically, what I'm hoping to accomplish on the main IP page here is have a video that just goes over some really strong ones. Eric, you have a bunch of videos too. Coley, have you ever covered any?
I haven't some sermons, but I don't think I've done much. Maybe like 1 or 2 videos on miracles and yeah.
I'll give you some notes if you want to cover some. So
yeah.
Miracles Today by Craig Keener, I mean, is a fine start because he has the 2-volume set, but he's just kind of going through sheer volume. How am I not following Craig Keener on Amazon? Anyways, but Miracles Today is more pop level, but at the same time, he uses some of the stronger examples in there. So it's like at least a decent start. And you can hunt them down. Like he mentions things, but you can literally find videos of the people in the book, like giving their testimony and different things.
Did you find a thing, Eric, or no?
What's that? The go-to
apologetic
channel?
Oh yeah, it is. It is that one guy. I can't even remember his name. Michael debated him on Tim Pool's channel.
He destroyed him so badly.
Oh, that guy.
The deconstruction guy?
It's him and it's him and like a couple other some dude with like glasses and long hair and
gotcha.
Some other guys. It's they do streams. Their streams do, I mean, okay. But I've not really watched. I just know DZ a little bit. That's about it.
Deconstruction. So, yeah, that's his name.
Are there any reasons why God would choose evolution? Choose evolution? Man, I have a complicated answer to that I will not have time to get into. Because I actually argue, Tim Howard and I together argue. Maybe we can do a stream on this. That gave me an idea. Thank you. Maybe we'll do a stream on it. We have an argument that actually evolution is evidence for theism. So we can go. We'll do a stream on that. I'll tell Tim we can do that.
I can give the caveman answer.
Go ahead.
It's like that's how everyone's created now. So why wouldn't God have started that way? It's like you.
I mean,
like,
okay, so that actually goes into part of my answer actually, which is like if you're going to have a universe that has entropy in it at all, which you're going to have, and you're going to need entropy to have movement, to have time, all that other stuff, right? The whole entire point is that evolution in any sense is inevitable, right? So you could, in theory, God could have created stuff where, let's just say, the evolutionary chain from us to all the way back is gone, and then you have humans from the start. The problem is the same processes that happened millions of years before humanity came about would still be happening towards the future, right? And so there is a case to be made that like evolution would just be displaced to a different point in time, given the type of universe that God would want to have in the first place. So that just goes right in place with what you're saying, Coley.
Yeah, I like my caveman answer better.
Fair enough. I was just trying to lift you up, man. I try not to use fancy big terms like post-traumatic stress disorder, so I call it spicy.
Wow. Man, if you can laugh at it, that's good. I mean,
man, dude. Oh man. I love that. I just call it whenever I'm dealing with stuff, I just call it biblical sadness or Ecclesiastes sadness sometimes. Thank you, but I've always got it. Oh, but I've got to deal with dealing it now. I'm glad you do, brother. Romans 7 conflates multiple wives with idolatry. It does. I should have thought about that. You're so smart, Cosmic. Has anyone told Coley he sounds like Chris Evans? Coley, do you know you sound like Chris Evans?
As a person who makes videos and listens to my voice all the time, my own voice from an outside perspective, I would I appreciate the compliment, I guess, because Chris Evans, but I don't know, I don't see it.
I personally hate the way I sound. Like I'm really self-conscious.
That's because you
So I
sound
get
like
it.
a nerd. No, I'm kidding.
No, I'm self-conscious about like the tone and sound of my voice and how loud I am half the time. I get it. SMH my head. It's like if Than said howdy y'all and someone accused him of not knowing English because of it as an Oklahoman. Oh, because of the guy that was like, you
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Dr. Prophet Than, peace be upon him, the hick gay. For Andrew G, please
Change
see
your name to
Exodus
that.
30:12. No, that's part of the man. That's part of what I wanted to get into. If I made a call, right? Like you probably saw it if you remember with that guy, right? I was like, look, we can get into this, and this is part of the explanation I was going to give. But I was like, then you're just going to bring something else up, right? Like you don't need to go into a call-in stream. Yeah, he needs to talk about doubts and more time. Do you agree with Heiser's view on the Nephilim? I do. Does everybody else here? I know Mike doesn't.
Nah, I'm like
Mike disagrees.
agnostic about it.
I'm just so much of a New Testament nerd that I'm like, whatever works, man. I think
right,
I've read Unseen Realm. I liked it.
Because Heiser's view is that they are angelic beings, or however you want to call them. They are spiritual beings, right? The Nephilim.
Mm-hmm.
I think Mike's view is that they're like kings.
Yeah. Well,
There's one
Muslims,
view.
it sounded like Coley said Gnostic instead of agnostic, so clip that.
Yeah, I'm a Gnostic.
Oh, man. When God confused our languages, it wasn't about actual language, right? If I recall correctly, it had a completely different meaning. Yes, you should. Heiser talks about this again. The Tower of Babel is very misunderstood by fundamentalist readings, I would argue. It's a ziggurat. It's not a tower that goes to the sky. Read Ecclesiastes to dismiss prosperity gospel. I, again, agreed. BIP, buff IP. Oh, I see. Thank you. Thank you.
I
Guys are
don't
so
know.
nice to me
I
today.
kind of like black IP. Do we like that's kind of buff IP? Love it.
Thank you for the 10 memberships, Pastor Tony. Than getting a standing desk really shows his ADHD. Dude, I feel so much more natural on a camera now that I can stand and move around. Like, again, Coley, I don't know if you've ever watched our streams before, but like sitting down, like having to sit down and behave and not be able to talk with my hands and like move my body as I'm talking. Like I'm always smacking the mic or getting out of like this. I feel so free right now.
It's good.
I don't have to put a bunch of like mental energy into behaving. It's so nice. Another 5 memberships. Thank you. Hello, everyone. First time donating. A question for Than. How do you reconcile with the flood being a regional event and Noah's Ark holding every type of animal? Was it just all animals found in the East? I have a particular way of reading the flood account. So, like, I think there was a regional flood, and this is like a localized early Israelite memory that's happening, that's being theologized about. So, and there's more to this case than obviously like me, what I give in a super chat. I would argue like even the ark itself is using Egyptian loan words that you're going to find that are similar to the Ark of the Covenant, and a bunch of other stuff that goes into this. So the long story short here is there isn't much to reconcile here because of the type of literature I think the flood account is in of itself, if that's fair. 10 inspiring philosophy memberships. Thank you so much.
Go.
And have responded to work by Khalil Andani for Islam. I don't really plan on responding to him. I actually was on a phone call for like 2 hours with Khalil a few weeks ago talking about a few things.
I don't like that guy. I'm kidding. I have no idea who he is.
Oh, fair enough. I've heard people say that about Dr. Andani,
Oh,
and
I have no idea.
he's been nothing but kind to me. He's very knowledgeable, and we've had good conversations. Like, and I actually really like him too because he's kind of like me, where he's really sick of the ecosystem of apologetics and polemics right now. He thinks it's
Yeah.
super toxic.
Yeah.
I think the same thing, and I wish that we could like stop being vile, disgusting people to each other, and just like actually have debates without having to do this blood sport stuff.
I would love if more Muslim apologists were anywhere near Khalil in terms of
Yeah,
intelligence and actual ability to
integrity.
not be
Wow.
a doofus. Yeah.
It'd take a whole culture change because of these leading guys and how they act, and all
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
ones that come up and want to follow them and act like them.
Mhm.
Yeah. All right, guys. Everybody, go subscribe to Coley's channel. Coley's got his thingy on the title of the stream, so go do that. And Eric is Testify Apologetics. Go do that. Subscribe. How many people do we have in here? 300. Well, thought it was more, but I expect I expect these two gentlemen to have 300 more subs by the end of the night. If not, I'm going to take my shahada. So
That's
Ooh,
bold.
some of them might be
Now
subscribed
you'll have to
already.
subscribe. You have to subscribe now.
They're gonna like
We cannot have
unsubscribe
them
and
do that.
resubscribe if they were
really
unsubscribed.
You're gonna have you guys are gonna have a problem of a Dawa guy.
Ugh.
I
think
got to
I'd
give a
ever
shout
do it.
out. Sir Clips a lot gifted me 5 memberships. Thank you so much, man.
Oh, based. All right, guys, I'm gonna close out the stream. God bless.
You made it to the end of this video, which means this message matters to you. If you want to see more content like this reaching people for Christ, you can help make it happen. Your support makes these videos possible. Click the link below and donate today. And if you want to go even deeper, consider joining our Patreon community. You'll get early access to videos, behind-the-scenes content, and a place to connect with others passionate about this mission.